We are live, Jesse. This is a big episode. There's a lot going on at the moment.
It's been a big day.
Yeah, there's been a big day. There's a couple of draws at the weekend. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, yeah, I caught one of them. No, I actually caught both of them.
Actually, in fact, we had Carlton and Collingwood, the two biggest clubs in the land, both celebrating draws.
Yeah, true.
At the weekend. And now we've had this rumour, an innuendo running wild with the Sydney Swans. Something happened in the Pullman Hotel at the weekend after their game against the Bombers. Where do we start on this tumultuous Monday?
Bailey Humphrey and Tom Sparrow also re-signed. That was some big news.
Actually, it's on its own, that would be big news.
It was big news. And then I was sort of getting ready to go here, and or maybe it was a bit before that. The story broke around Sydney, which it's a tough one to touch, Dylan.
It's a tough one to touch.
There's a lot of misinformation, potentially misinformation going on. There are some confirmed facts, and then there's also the rumour mill doing its thing, and we sort of caught between not wanting to ignore it, but also not wanting to throw any fuel on the fire and speculate wildly, right? It's a tough situation.
I've never thrown a sex toy at anyone, personally.
Okay.
Speaking of rumours.
Okay, that's good.
No, there's a bit going on. But it is, I mean, what it's kind of saying is police incident at the Pullman Hotel. So something went down. There's images online of a lot of police there.
Yeah.
Which kind of, I suppose, like calls into how serious it is. Like the thing that, I think it was Morris that went with off the cuff, he went, damaging to star players.
Yeah.
That was him or Cleary, one of the first to sort of break the news.
Yeah.
Which kind of, you would suspect that that's just not a player that's in the current best 23. Like that's a star. The reference of star player. I know the media can throw that around quite loosely, but you're kind of thinking of one of the top end guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I've been reading Big Footy and X, and like you should be careful with reading that sort of things. I've seen some names thrown around.
Yeah.
I've seen it thrown around from a bunch of definitely not credible places, but they are tending to say the same names, and I personally won't name them, but this is huge. Obviously, there's a bigger story. It's much bigger than football, but it's obviously going to have a flow-on effect potentially as well.
Yeah. I mean, if we're wildly speculating here, but if some of the things that are being thrown around are true, how can you see some sort of like on the eve of the finals for Sydney, who are sitting second on the ladder? They're one of the best teams in the competition this season. Like, what could you see the fallout being?
So hard to speculate because we don't know details. I think we can assume this is really bad. I think the fact that the Swans made an early statement, the comments made by Matthew Pavlich, I don't think there's too much suggestion that this is a storm in a teacup. I think this is high level shit. In which case, again, like I think you're looking at anything from, I wouldn't say nothing, but like, let's say it's an ongoing thing. I don't know what you can do in the short term. If you're standing down individual players, then you're actually revealing who they are. But they're also on the far end of the spectrum. I also see, like, could this get so serious that the Swans don't play finals?
The problem is that's where kind of I was going with that.
Yeah.
The problem with this for Sydney is if they don't address like who's involved and some of the more specifics, then you leave, like the innuendo just runs wild.
Yeah.
So there's just going to be theories all over the place. So kind of similar to what we saw with like a Jamara Ugle-Hagan situation, and that was just one person that a club had to deal with. But if this is like involving several people in the club, I think it makes it more difficult for them. If that, like, can you see a world where there would be potentially this hanging over a group of players in the team over their head, but no suspensions or anything taking place until like legal stuff was dealt with?
I'd imagine from a legal point of view, this won't get resolved anytime soon. I think at the very least, yes, this is going to be hanging over the club.
Do you think the AFL could stand the players down regardless of whether it was just looming?
Yeah, and again, I don't know what the allegation is specifically. We've heard that the sexual assault is what it's listed.
Yeah, it's sort of a sexual nature.
Yeah, okay, so you're going pretty much to the top there, really. I think, yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think I would probably be inclined to support that. If that is the charge, and I think there's no doubt really about what that is. That being the case, I mean, like Mitch Cleary's reported that.
Yeah, I guess it's the nature of the... It's still the nature of the crime. I mean, what could it be?
If it's a charge of sexual assault, you don't sort of decide arbitrarily like,
I agree.
but it's actually a technicality. Like, you got to treat that very seriously.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We start on a slightly sour note there.
Well, hopefully justice is served. That's all I'll say, because I have no insight, so there's no point me speculating, but hopefully we find a justice, right? And if there's any sort of silver lining out of this situation, it's kind of like, obviously I wish it didn't happen, but at least like there's police there. You know, so many instances of a very serious nature don't get reported.
It's one of those things that could have quite easily been, like, I don't know how that came to be exactly, but like it could have easily got swept under the rug.
Absolutely.
Quite quickly with an AFL team involved. So I agree with you there. We move on. I suppose there's not much else to say other than the fact that it's crazy that something like this would happen to a club that's like second on the ladder on the eve of finals. It's more something that you would come to expect from, like, honestly, like it's weird to say this, but like a bottom 8 side that's had some sort of a massive party at the end of season. I shouldn't really say that. You shouldn't expect it from anyone.
No, yeah.
But
I get what you're saying.
Sort of the event.
Yeah, like, again, without treading too far into speculation, the circumstances seem odd.
It's
like
odd.
A Sunday night win over Essendon, finals around the corner. I don't think there's too much doubt that the players have put themselves in a silly situation to begin with. Like, it's crazy to me that they're in that situation to begin with, let alone what happened after. We have a chat message from official UFL who says, can the league just replace a team in finals because their players did some shady shit? We have some precedent on this. Essendon in 2013
made the finals.
They made the finals, and because they had the drug, I don't think, had there been a decision made on that, or is it just looming over them? And I think
that's
the
a
AFL
really, really good question. Was it because that was already looming over them for the season? They played out the season, and then was it when the verdict was handed down? That's when they missed the finals.
I'm not sure if the verdict came at the time though.
No, I think it took a long time, didn't it?
Yeah, I reckon it happened later, because the year that the players missed was 2016.
Yeah.
So I think it was just them. It was looming over them, and they were suspended from finals.
Yeah. So there is a bit of precedent there. It's a crazily different situation.
Absolutely,
like a
much more serious one.
Yeah. So it's I don't know what more we can say about it, but it's very interesting. You could see a situation where I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought more likely. It depends how widespread it is on the team, doesn't it?
The scale matters.
I'm kind of picturing a couple of players involved, like 2 to 3 players. But if it's like more widespread than that, then maybe you're onto something.
Yeah. Again, I think that's a key part of it, decision making, which we can't really delve too deep into, right? But I just think it's serious enough that I don't think you can rule it out.
Yeah, I completely agree. So yeah, it's a tricky one. The official UFL, whose comment you just read before, also has mentioned the re-signing, Jesse, of a one Bayless Humphreys, his Latin name. What do you think this means for the competition? If there's nothing more you have to say on the previous subject.
No, it's all right. It's a hard pivot because like emotionally I'm like, oh yeah, football. We've got to talk about football.
Yeah.
I think it's enormous for the Gold Coast Suns. We've been recording some trade content, so we have had this conversation.
Yep.
You'll see that tomorrow. But I think this one caught a lot of people by surprise, to be honest. Not only was Bailey Humphrey was contracted for 2028, so not only has he not left, he's extended that commitment into 2030 as well, which I think goes beyond just a little bit of I guess I'll wait and see it out. That's a firm recommitment to a club where we were sort of speculating 7 days ago, what happens if they lose Ben King and Bailey Humphrey? That's a huge hit to the standing of the club,
Absolutely.
Really.
Full culture.
Yeah.
The rebuild would almost start.
Yeah, it's certainly a step back. I mean, they've still got a lot of good players, but like then that springboards into the conversation around Rail and Anderson and suddenly it's a slippery slope, right? So I think it's a huge win for the Gold Coast.
The interesting question here for me is like he wanted to leave last year, obviously. He wanted to get that move to Melbourne. It didn't happen. They held on to him. I wonder what sparked re-signing, because if anything, at the end of like when he wanted to leave last year, that was the moment where I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like there's no better project in football than this right now. He goes around, another 6 months essentially, and the situation that the Gold Coast Suns find themselves in now is obviously a lot worse. He must have either sat down, had a conversation with someone, they've convinced him of the project, but he must believe in what they're doing to some degree to do this.
Absolutely. I wonder if finances are also a little part of that as well with Ben King leaving. Maybe Gold Coast up the offer. But again,
it felt bigger than his want to come back to Melbourne felt bigger than just a bit of a bump in salary.
Absolutely agree. But it might have helped,
It always helps.
So no, it's huge. I didn't see it coming. I thought the D's were on, to be honest.
You thought the D's were on. It was a match made in heaven.
It nearly happened last year.
Yeah. And the trajectory of the two teams So Melbourne were down,
That's
Gold
true.
Coast were
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So you think if anything, it's switched around and Bailey's going like, I want in there even more than I did last year.
Amazing, yeah. No, it's a terrific result. For the D's, like a bit of a disappointing result in my opinion. Like I know their fans were probably balking at the idea of trading pick 5. I think that's what it would have cost. He would have been a nice top-up piece. He would have been, but you know, you can't really go wrong. Well, you can go wrong with pick 5, but it's still a great position to have.
I genuinely don't get that with the pick 5 thing though. Like I was saying to you the other day, or like I said, what pick did Bailey Humphrey go? He went pick 6, I think.
Yep.
So how is he after 2 to 3 years of development, or 4 years now? He'd be in his 4th year.
Yep. Yeah,
coming
2022 draft.
Yeah, so like he's kind of like he's turned himself into a monster. He's a man. I know his form hasn't been amazing this year, but what else would you be paying for him?
Yeah,
you have to pay
right.
at least pick 6.
I agree. I don't know. Like that logic though can be tricky when you tie it to the like ladder original draft position. I think you look at it in isolation. I used the Campbell Chesser example sarcastically last week, but
as you do.
Yeah, but I think you just judge them on the player and their potential, and I think also the fact that Gold Coast have leverage with his contract in this, like up until he re-signed, he was still contracted.
Yeah,
if they're losing other players, they're not going to let him go for.
No, you're spot on. So like all of that does play into it. I'm just kind of purely going. I do think that the D's fans looking at Bailey Humphrey are purely going, well, he's not playing that good of footy now, so he's not worth pick 5.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's a bit,
and you know when you're going well, you sort of think you don't need him, and I'm sure maybe they don't need him, but there's also a sense of when things are going well, you don't need to look externally too much, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the fact that he would be an amazing player for him. But oh well, he's Gold Coast.
If this was West Coast right now, and it was a choice between Archie Butler or Bayless Humphreys, who would you take?
You'd go Humphrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there's your answer on the pick situation.
That's true.
As well. True. Jacob Richardson says, can't believe the Geelong concussion story isn't even the biggest story of the month.
Yeah.
And this goes into one of my other talking points here, which is the, I suppose, emergence that Zach Butters looks clearly linked to Geelong. I think it was Cleary again.
Yeah, it was Cleary.
Don't want to get my journalist wrong there, but
no, you're right.
I think he kind of said that Geelong are now clearly the front runner to sign Zach Butters, which, again, we spoke about it on a video that we recorded this afternoon. I almost think now, with everything that's come out about how Zach Butters wanted to be, he wanted to be close to home, he wanted to be at Bacchus Marsh, and there was this conversation like, oh, he's not going to go to Richmond because it's on the other side of the bloody Westgate Bridge and all this stuff. He might have wanted to go to Western.
Road sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like the traffic, man, it's crazy. But he probably just always was going to go to Geelong.
Yeah, I think so too. I actually think personally he's always going to the Dogs. Because Mitch Cleary's phrasing was that Geelong have emerged in front of the Western Bulldogs.
So he thinks there's been a shift.
There's been a shift. That's what's happened this week also, at least at the time of breaking the story. We've previously seen like people weighing in saying Richmond are the front runner. I was always skeptical of that. I think like there were articles like Richmond tipped to be the favourite to get Lamb Butters, and you're like, oh wow, and you click on it.
Tipped to be the favourite.
Yeah,
I like that wording too.
Craig Hutchinson said, yeah, I think he should go there.
Yeah,
like you got to be careful with some of these things. And Collingwood are not even really considered a major contender, judging by the comments I've read this week.
Yeah.
Despite the story breaking last week that they were offering him $2 million, like apparently they're 4th in the pecking order. So we've still got to wait a little to find out. I reckon there might be more twists still.
It's funny though that you say that. So you're saying that there's been a movement, like it's from the wording of Mitch Cleary that that Geelong actually came from behind, and then got in front of the Western Bulldogs.
Yes,
nice little smirk there that you threw at me for that one.
This is unrelated.
They came from behind, and that's kind of goes into what Jacob's saying here though. That Geelong have had this in the last couple of weeks. They've had this huge concussion story.
Yes.
And that's somehow made them move ahead of the Western Bulldogs.
They're uncancelable.
That is so... you can't get rid of this cunts. Like, it's just absolutely... Like, this should have been them laying low for at least 18 months. They don't do any trades. They stay out of the news, blah, blah, blah.
They have been remarkably resilient to that. I mean, you think back to the story like last year, and I don't want to make light of it while we're joking around about one thing, but like, you know, just compare the scrutiny on the Sydney Swans right now versus the Cats. They're very good at that.
They are.
They're very good at managing their brand.
They are. Although, like in this situation, I'd almost say they didn't manage their like.
No, you're right. Yeah.
But the outcome is still the same. They just get all the players.
Yeah. That's it. That's what happens when you're a strong club with strong history performance.
And you would have to say that Zach Butters to Geelong actually makes a lot of sense from a player perspective as well. That's a player that they absolutely need to go into their midfield. I think it's an area of some weakness for them.
Yeah.
They've got a nice balance of a team.
Yeah.
But he actually goes into that midfield and gives them a genuine A grader in there.
Absolutely. Teresa says the Geelong concussion saga is a massive story, and before today was the biggest story, and was slowly not being spoken about.
Geelong, the
Sydney
Sydney thing is an inside job. The Cats did it.
I have seen that online.
Really?
Yeah,
that was a joke.
I know. I've been reading Big Footy, and I kind of wish I hadn't, but it was an effective way to keep up with the news today. What have we got next?
What do we have next? So we do have the fact that there were 2 draws in the football.
Yeah,
like we'll go into the games. We spoke about this, and I got a lot of shit for this on our video that you uploaded because I was like, oh, cringe from Craig McRae.
Oh yeah.
For celebrating the win.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I do get what he's trying to do. He's
celebrating the draw.
Yeah, celebrating the draw. And what I thought was funny about it though is the fact that there was Carlton all over X on the Saturday night. There was Carlton fans going like, how cringe celebrating a draw. And then less than 24 hours later, it's like, here you go. What are you guys going to do? They celebrated that pretty hard.
Oh, absolutely. It was interesting just seeing them sort of like not park the bus, but like slow their ball movement in the last minute.
Carlton.
That would have been infuriating for St Kilda fans. That would have been the worst. I saw Cardman posted a reel of his reacting to the last minute, and I feel for him.
Yeah.
Jake actually had a very good reaction to it. I think he said something along the lines of, if you're relying on other results to get your 10th.
They didn't deserve it.
No, and he was very like, I guess humble is the word around that. But it would have been still infuriating. Like any St Kilda fan would have been invested.
You're kind of like, you would have been just thinking as a St Kilda fan, like, why can't we just get like a bit of luck? Like, why?
I know.
Why, you know, like
because the Bulldogs were in front by 7 points late in the game too.
Yeah, and
like,
they were clearly the better team.
Yeah.
It was almost
it was a tease.
It was a massive
because no
tease.
Bont, no English, and they get teased.
And it almost felt like there was a bit of, I don't know, I was saying watching the game, I'm like, there's weirdly something like I want Carlton to do well because I sort of tipped Carlton to have a better year.
Yeah.
And now they've kind of done it. But there was a sicko like deep in my brain going, this would be funny.
Yeah.
This would be a bit funny if they lose this and then miss the 10 after all of this.
Josh Fraser's also been appointed coach today.
He has been appointed coach. There's so much news.
Which is kind of funny. So did Dan Gorringe say that he found out on Friday?
I think so.
How funny would it have been?
Is that true, producer? Allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big word today. Josh Fraser found out on Friday. How funny would it have been if they had lost that game and then missed finals and then they have to announce that he's coach?
That's so true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Because no doubt there's an element, you would think there's an element to the reappointment that it's to create a bit of optimism.
Yeah, why would you do it?
Heading into the final 10, right? Because otherwise you just hold off. It gives Josh Fraser that, I suppose, like stability and everybody gets around him and then they get another bit of a shot in the arm to push into the top 10. That would have been absolutely
hilarious.
Carlton.
It would have capped off this insane season from a PR point of view.
Far out. Do you still think they've... we should do this when we actually go into the game.
Sure.
I suppose. We can talk a little bit more about these
We do
things.
have a super chat here from Teresa. First of all, she told me to get off Big Footy. I've been on Big Footy for 17 years.
He will not get off.
No, but it's funny. Like, I always thought it was a great place, and I still think it's underrated if you know who to listen to. You know who to listen to, it's a step above some of the other social media platforms.
Sure.
But I was reading today some of the conversation around the Sydney's thing. I was pretty grossed out by a lot of comments. Hey, just like, I won't repeat them, but I'm like, fuck, there's a lot of shitty people out there.
Yeah, 100%. Like there are actually, clearly in this situation, there are real victims.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a funny story.
Absolutely.
Even though, we have come on here and made some jokes about it as well. But it's a real thing.
Yeah. And these people are either incredibly nasty or they're incredibly sheltered. It's one of those two things.
Yeah. I think it's a symptom of the internet.
Yes, absolutely.
Fake profiles and whatnot, or hiding behind profiles. Teresa Jade, did you read this one?
No, I was sort of labouring towards it, but yes.
I mean, this is big. Giving us a super chat here, Swadlow.
Thank you, Teresa.
2032.
He has gone from strength to strength. Obviously, a big part of the match-saving event with the spoil on the boundary line.
It's funny, isn't it? That particular event, I think, has been slightly over-egged. As an individual, like he's been great.
Sure.
He's been great, but like that particular thing, he basically palmed the ball back in.
Yeah. Nah, still good awareness. I don't think my club would have done
it. Yeah, true. We would have just let it cross the line. We actually got, because I didn't realise that on the last siren, like you couldn't do that. You couldn't. Sorry. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm looking at like Meek and those
Yeah.
guys. I'm like, why didn't you just like?
That's true. It was one of those things I had heard before and kind of forgotten in the moment.
Yeah, me too. Probably should know that, right?
Yeah,
We talk about footy and whatnot.
loosely.
Okay. Back to Friday night. There was no Thursday night football, which is a bit of an odd one.
I do want to quickly shout out our members.
Go for it.
First of all, we had heaps of new members on truefooty.com.au this week. Thank you so much. We got 3,500 users on the website now. Really exciting. Thank you so much. But the YouTube members, Absolute Mangan, Wern Dogger, Kieran Wheatra, Syndicate, Darren Goddard, Ben Feltman, Mocha, and Takumi Satomura. I definitely said that wrong.
Darren Goddard. I thought that was like a play on words of Brendan Goddard, but it's actually just a
different person's name.
Yeah, sorry. I thought that was quite funny.
All right. Sorry, go back to Friday night.
Well said. And the official, actually, I want to read this comment by the official UFL based on what you're saying. Just indecency. People need to be kinder to each other. Disassociation is created through the lack of connection the internet provides. Well said.
Yeah. I think this was also a sense of some people in like not even all male audience, like Big Footy. It's definitely not all male. Sure, it's probably about 95% realistically. Based on the True Footy numbers, we're about 93% male. And just trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And just like being a dickhead.
Yeah, you can see how that would easily turn away women that are interested in the game as well, for sure.
Yeah.
Reagan Hislop, thank you very much for the super chat. Says, love your work. Thank you very
Reagan.
much, mate.
Thank you.
Stay in the comments. We love to have you here. So Freo defeated the Adelaide Crows. Was this the moment for me, Jesse, where I finally went, you can't beat this team. The Dockers have arrived. 112 to 88.
Pose that like a question.
Yeah, I know.
Was this the moment I realised?
I'm gonna ponder that as we go on.
All right, good.
112 to 88. 24 points was the margin. Contested ball was even in this game. 135 to 134. Contested marks were even. 13 to 12. Intercept possessions were even. 69 to 68. Really, the only major statistical part that Freo kind of dominated from just the raw numbers was the clearance numbers. 44 to 38. Which gave them that sort of territorial dominance. I felt that in this game, Adelaide did absolutely everything they possibly could to win this game. Their tackling work, their pressure work was absolutely incredible. Their energy was very, very high. They just don't have the quality to beat this Freo side. They threw everything that they had at them, and they weren't even really that close.
Yeah, agreed. I was at the pub for my friend Katie McDonald's birthday for the first half, and I went home.
Name drop.
Yeah. Tom Cruise made an appearance. And I was sort of missing the first half, but I was sort of keeping an eye on the score, and I saw the Crows were in front, and I just knew that Fremantle would win. Not because of anything to do with Adelaide, but because of the strength of Fremantle and how many times they've done that this year. And when I went home and watched the second half, it just felt, even though the score was close, so clear that Fremantle were going to win, and they do it routinely, which is why I think they're going to be built for September this year. I've been saying that for a little while. Jai Amos kicked 5. Another great performance. He's still... Is he second in the Coleman yet?
He's second in the Coleman to Charlie Curnow, and he's not even their best forward.
Yeah, it's true.
He's kind of a bit... Like, genuinely, he's a bit part player in a larger machine.
Absolutely.
Caleb Sarong, though... Sorry, I'm usually one that kind of like, oh, Caleb Sarong, he can be... I think in past seasons, Caleb Sarong's been a little bit overrated because he's been Freo's best player. But I think it's actually swung a little bit because they've had all these other players that have stood up. Like your Jacksons are talked about more now. Bolton's talked about more now.
Murphy's definitely talked about more.
Murphy Reed. Like potentially Murphy's a little on the overrated side. Caleb Sarong just comes through in this game and absolutely bosses it.
Yeah.
Like his contested work, his cleanliness was ridiculous. He kicked an amazing goal. I think it was in the third quarter.
He kicked 2, didn't he? But the one that from like 55, 60?
Yeah, that one that he just dropped over the top and it rolled through. Like that was just so clean. He just looks like a sort of, I don't know, it's like he's playing with a certain freedom that maybe he wasn't. Like he had more pressure on him in previous years and now he's just doing his thing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he and Brayshaw were just kind of the perfect foundational players for that rebuild. I know he came maybe 2019, a couple of years after Brayshaw, but I can't help but look at where my club is right now and I'm like, we need some players to kickstart our rebuild. Or maybe not kickstart, but, support it along. Just having those foundational players. And then it's nice to see him sort of get a little limelight now that the rest of the team, as you said, is getting the flowers more often.
Does that make you think that like West Coast maybe missed a trick with like say last year's draft?
I was going to say, for the love of God, don't say Jagger Smith again.
Oh no, I wasn't going to say Jagger.
This comes up weekly.
No, one of the things that we posed a lot last year was the idea that, and I know he wasn't there on quality, and like I agree he wasn't there on quality, but like taking a Dyson Sharp type player is just that worker bunny guy.
Yeah, I suppose we'll see in time, but yeah, I think the arguments for that are sound. It would be Cooper Duff Tyler. You'd
of course.
Missing. I mean, he was always pretty good too, but what would you do?
Yeah, I think I would. I think there was a genuine argument that you could have at least you could have tried to split a pick, get something back, change the draft order. Even if it ended up meaning you got picked, like rather than pick 1 and 4, you like slipped down to like 10 or something.
Yeah, that's right.
And took him as he was sort of falling down the board a little bit.
It takes a suitor though. Like Essendon would probably have to have been the club we dealt with, and
sure,
who knows what they would have been.
And then they might want him, etc., etc. So yeah, he was massive. It's sort of like there's just things now in a Freo game that you just come to expect, like Josh Tracy doing Wayne Carey impersonations. Yeah, just the clunks, the hands. He's unstoppable.
My mind went somewhere else.
That was bad timing.
Yeah, absolutely. Ozates has actually dropped a milestone message, I think they're called, on YouTube, and a super chat. So thank you so much. I'll start with the milestone message, and then we'll get back to the super chat. Thoughts on which teams make the GF? Are you sold on Fremantle being there?
100%.
Yeah, it took you a while.
Yeah, it did actually. Sorry.
I think they're a lock, especially with the 2 home finals. They've also clinched the minor premiership officially.
They just play I think the way that they play, which has probably been something that I've had to come around to a little bit. Like I've always looked at more of those kicking teams, like Brisbane do it a bit differently to Hawthorn, but they're both teams that have like a major amount of control on the game at times. And Freo haven't really had that. They've been more of a contest first team.
Yeah.
But I actually just think the way that through the contest, they can actually control things in a different sort of a way. It's not with uncontested marking and stuff like that. They rarely have big numbers in that area, but they just know they're not going to get beaten. They're just tougher and they can run for longer. Yeah, and with less to play for than Adelaide, I feel like the mental strength from the Freo Dockers this year has been on its own level. Did you see that Isaiah Dudley goal? Yes. It was in the last quarter, that one where he just got out of the phone box. I don't know how he did that. Yeah, I know. He's not a particularly quick player, but like his movement there. Shifty. Yeah, outstanding. And Ozates also dropped a super chat saying, thoughts on the AFL finals this year, guys? Thank you. The AFL finals has been the grand final? I suppose. Or just the finals in general? Because I suppose we're going to cover that broadly in today's show. We are going to cover that. So we're going to do like a proper breakdown of like what's going to happen. Oh yeah. So we'll get that at the end. If you're talking grand final, I'm Brisbane Freo. Yeah. Yeah. What about Adelaide? When does this leave them? This was always going to be a tough ask. I think they sort of let their position slip in more recent weeks, but they're probably consigned to 7th and a home wildcard spot now, which is crazy because they're in the chance for the top 4. Yeah, I just think they're the 7th best team. Yeah. I just think that's the reality for them. Yep. I think every time they've really been tested to show that they offer a bit more, they just can't really do it. I think they need probably one more midfielder. Yeah. And they probably need an elite halfback flanker as well. Yeah. And hope that they can hold on to these defenders that leave them in a pretty good shape. I think I don't know if they have to give up something defensively to allow for them to attack more. Maybe that's the next step. Yeah. So they'll either be playing the Bulldogs or Carlton at this stage, depending on how this final round goes. Most likely Carlton, you'd think. Yep. And Fremantle, who moved into 4th? Did Brisbane move up a spot or am I tripping? No, Brisbane are 3rd. No, so there's a scenario. No, Brisbane are 3rd. Sorry, Hawthorn are 4th now. Yeah. That's right. 'Cause I knew there was a change. It was because Hawthorn drew. Does that mean I think Freo playing Hawthorn is their likely week one opponent? That's right. Yeah. That's and Brisbane and Sydney. Yeah. Obviously, Collingwood, Brisbane, which we're live streaming this weekend, that could influence that. If Collingwood cause an upset there, then I think, does that move Hawthorn back into 3rd? I think it would. If Brisbane lose to Collingwood? Yeah. If we assume that Brisbane win, though, it's probably... Well, if we assume that if Brisbane lose, not only that, I think Melbourne would move into the 4. Yes. If Melbourne win their last game. Gee, that'd be fun. That'd be exciting, wouldn't it? We'll get to Melbourne in a second. Yep. There was Alex Pearce did pull up a little bit funny with his knee during this game. There were moments of him just like limping around and looking super, super sore. So, I mean, that's like, if we're talking about things that can stop Freo, that's one of them. They haven't had to deal with injury at all this year. No.
Like very, very few. Mind you, I got a stat that's interesting actually. Out of the last 8 occasions, a non-Victorian minor premier won the minor premiership. They didn't win the flag. The last 8 occasions. I'll tell you what's different. I think Fremantle, compared to the last 8, without remembering it perfectly off the top of my head, they'd be the best. The best team there. That they'd be better than those last 8 minor premiers.
Can we back up a bit here? Why do you think that is? That the last 8 minor premiers that are interstate haven't won the grand final?
So I sort of need to see the list again because I saw it on First Crack or one of the shows. No, in fact, I think it was the round so far.
Cool.
In some instances, the non-Victorian side lost to an MCG tenant in the grand final because they effectively play an away grand final regardless of finishing first. That was Sydney in 2014. And I can't remember any other examples, but that was at least one explanation.
Sure.
Other than that, not too sure. I think with Freo here, they're also a little bit insulated from the fact that they're unlikely to play an MCG tenant in the grand final. Like it's probably Brisbane.
Yeah, it's really only Hawthorn.
Yeah, Hawthorn.
Maybe Melbourne.
Yeah, I suppose those are the threats. But even then, still think Freo.
It's less likely.
Yeah,
your second and third team are also interstate.
Yeah,
I suppose like Brisbane are the tricky one there because they've kind of done it. They have
they're
genuine
clearly
belief.
a good player, a good team at the G as well. I get that.
Yeah, exactly.
Still, I think they'll be okay.
Exactly. Yeah, interesting conversation though. From an Adelaide perspective, just touching on them for a moment, I mean, they are suffering, but at the same time, there is one player for them that has just been absolutely incredible over the last month of football, and that is Isaac Rankin. He's playing some ridiculous football.
Yeah,
I think he had 39 touches in this game.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
And you could tell that with the absence of Wayne Miller, like they were using him at halfback. They were trying to get the ball to him pretty much on every single line. They wanted another Isaac Rankin, one in the midfield, one at halfback, one in the front half of the ground. They were trying to use him as their primary ball mover. He just can't do it all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why they need a little bit more support. Zach Bailey was obviously a target, well, is still a target for them. But yeah, at the moment, they're a little top heavy with some of their best players like Dawson, Thilthorpe on his day, and Rankin.
Bailey would have really bulked them out a bit.
Yeah.
I feel. Saligo had a good game in this one from a pressure point of view, but he's just a little bit limited, Saligo. Like he just doesn't have that quality. One player that is really improving for them for me is Braden Cook. Yeah. He just keeps getting better and better. Player. Yeah, and he's starting to just look really, really calm and composed in the big moments. I thought when the game was on the line, he was one that actually like really did try to, imprint himself on the game. He just, wasn't able to have the quality to do it at the moment. McAndrew had a big third quarter.
They've unearthed a bit of that next layer as well over the course of the year. Like Miller is probably not an example of that, but it also career best season.
Yeah.
But then you got Cook, you've got McAndrew, who you just mentioned, and Hugo Hawker-Hahn through the mid-season draft is probably someone I'm missing, I feel.
I mean, Oscar Ryan came in. You couldn't probably say he's been unearthed, but they did, they played Ludovic as well.
Yeah.
They would have liked to get a Draper in there.
Yeah.
Draper's the one, right?
Yeah.
That's that sort of star quality midfielder they could potentially have. One thing that Crows fans got into me about in the mid-season was Max Michelini +2.
Oh, yes.
Could you genuinely make an argument right now that he's any more than a +2? Like, honestly. Saw him in this game, like 3 times, got the ball, and just kicks the shit out of it.
Would you have said Vlastuin was a genuine A-grader last year?
Last year?
Flostone, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's not really a ball-carrying player either. I would say they're a good comparison for type.
Yeah, but
Mark Laney hit that level.
Vlastuin intercepts the ball a lot more. All Michelini does is shut players down.
Okay.
That's my argument there.
All right. I'll put it to the chat. Tell them what they think.
Interested.
Adelaide fans, let us know what you think.
Let me know. I don't think he's a +3. I don't think he is a +3. Actually, I've got a little stank or bank in this game from a Freo perspective here.
Okay.
This is Coleman Chat, Jai Amos, right? This is from Freo Hub, so it's Freo coded. Not going to lie, it's kind of insane how a guy who was literally second in the Coleman has not once this season ever been mentioned in all Australian discussions, at least from what I've seen. To think we've gone from praying to the footy gods to have one decent key forward, and now we have 3.
That's a great shout. Would he make All-Australian? Somebody, Boy Boo, I think, said there's going to be 5 Freo All-Australians in the chat. Let me get back to that. Who do you say? So Jackson, Bolton would be the locks.
And Tracy.
Yes. Yep. I want to see who he said. Jackson, Tracy, Bolton, Lock.
I'd have Pierce.
Pierce also, and Reed would be the 5. But Amos. I'd say Amos
Reed's not in mine, personally.
I agree. Amos would probably be more viable than Reed. But you've also, like, Amos is, like, he's kicked a lot of goals, but you're also competing with some really good players.
I'd also have Clark.
This year?
Yeah, I think so. Who would you have over him?
Blakey.
You could have Blakey.
Miller might be close.
Might be close. I don't think they're like light year. Maybe Blakey is ahead.
Lockie Ash's had a good year.
He's had a decent year.
I'm drawing a little bit blank.
Take Clark.
I'm going to consult.
They're actually. I feel like there hasn't been really elite halfback flanker seasons this year.
I suppose you're right. So this is the website. You got Miller, Blakey, Ash, and Stewart.
Yeah, Stewart's a different type, but like he's still a small defender.
Non-key spot. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, those are the defenders with Alira on the bench.
It's funny though with the Amos one. Like I sort of agree with this comment overall, and like it is funny when someone is that high. I still wouldn't have him in there though. I wouldn't have Amos in the team.
Nah, I don't think so either. I think there are better players, even though they've kicked less goals.
It's like it's a good point and it's a good discussion point, but it's also correct that he's not discussed that much in there.
So Bailey, Watson, Bolton, and Cozzy will probably the website's top 4.
Yep. Oh, from a small forward.
Yeah, it does have Murphy Reed on the bench on the website though.
Okay. I mean, Murphy's touch and go. I do feel like even just watching that Freo performance on Friday though, it was like Murphy's not there. And they're so plug and play, like they're so in sync, this Freo side, that whoever plays just looks bloody amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Shoe Snatch and Willie has dropped a super chat. Thank you so much. He says, third so valuable for the Lions. Freo at Optus is invincible. Here's the counter argument to that. Would you rather play Fremantle in week 1 when you have a double chance at Optus, or would you rather meet them in a prelim when you don't have a double chance?
Yeah. It all of a sudden, like, and Brisbane, weirdly, and I don't know how much cachet to put into this, but like, Brisbane haven't been the best side when they don't have to win. So, like, I look at that Sydney game at the SCG, and it's like, if that was a prelim, I'd go, yep, Brisbane. But for some reason, because it's a qualifying final, I'm like, are they going to fucking suck it up in that game?
Yeah.
Because they don't have to win. And then they'll do the long way around and then get done by Freo, like you said, at Optus. Yeah. So that's a danger for them.
They could also win in week 1 at the SCG and then not play Freo to the grand final. That is also possible.
That is also possible.
Yeah.
So if you consider, if Brisbane can get into the mentality of the game against Sydney is, and this is funny to be talking about this now with the Sydney thing, because like, where the hell are they? But
yeah, true.
It now feels quite good to be getting Sydney.
Yeah. I think they're, like, regardless of what happened today or this weekend, I think they're the team you want to get in week 1 if you're in
Sydney,
the top 4. Yeah,
I agree.
Out of the 2, definitely.
The only counter argument to Sydney, in just a general thing with getting them, is they have extremely talented players at the top end.
Totally.
Like, I think their top 5 players is probably the best in the competition.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They just don't have as good a balance.
Yeah, they're extremely offensively potent. But as you say, the balance.
Yeah, they are objectively the number 1 scoring team in the comp.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it shows with the game style and the players that they've got. Okay.
Move on.
Let's move on to St Kilda versus Richmond. Now, this is a super, super important game.
I was at this game
of 2026. Yeah. It's funny that you ended up at this one.
Yeah.
Of all the live games of football to go and watch, you went, I want round 23, St Kilda, finals-less.
Yeah.
St Kilda.
It was still active at the time, though.
Okay, that's why you did it then.
Yeah, that's right. Richmond West Coast, no. Richmond St Kilda, yes. No Nas.
It may be viewed as the biggest nothing burger of all time.
Yeah.
But you went there for fun.
I did. I was catching up with some friends and I had a few beers. And my analysis may not be as on point. I didn't even realise Max Hall had 40.
Yes.
And Mitch Owens did stand out though.
Yeah, he kicked 5.
Yeah, he did. And they were 5 pretty early or 4 pretty early as well.
He actually had a few different matchups across the day. Like he was on Miller early, I think, and he took a couple of nice grabs on Miller. He's undersized in that matchup. I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
This is a sort of a sad one for Richmond fans. They had the Prestia Abroad thing. Mm-hmm. It was their final game of their careers, so that was a big part of it. And they kind of just offered nothing in this game. They got smashed in contested ball, 155 to 111, inside 50, 60 to 47, clearances 45 to 31, and St Kilda took 121 marks.
Yeah, no, they did get pummeled. They had a lot of moments where they threatened to do something cool. Like there would be a moment of talent by a young Richmond forward or like forward mid. And then, they'd sort of have a little chain and then they overuse the handball and eventually just concede, which is common with young teams.
Sorry.
Ooh, some light calf on foot contact.
That
was nice.
I just went to sort of stretch my legs out.
Yeah.
I just kicked Jesse in the groin.
Yeah, much like St Kilda did to Richmond in this game. But they've seen a little bit of criticism for not like sending off their veterans with Prestia and Broad. Am I missing someone? It was just those two.
No, it's just those two.
Yeah, those two.
Yeah, Vlosson's staying.
Yeah, setting them off in better fashion. What do you think of that criticism?
Like,
You
what do you want
can't just not be shit.
Get better, be better. Like, this is the final game for those two players, so just do better.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, what can you do?
Yeah. I think back to my team when we sent off 3 plays in end of 23 and we played out of our skins for a half. Like, we were not capable of playing that well until that game. So, like, it can be done. Like, mysteries happen in football.
And you could I suppose you could go in with an attitude in a game like this and just go, okay, we're not like, kind of almost forget the game plan, just hunt them.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's something they could have done a little bit.
Too much of a talent deficit, I think, to be honest. But overall, Richmond limping to the finish line this year. They've collected their 2 wins against West Coast and 1 against Essendon. And at the moment, I think they're just waiting for the off-season.
Yeah, I think so. Anything from a St Kilda point of view, you mentioned Max Hall.
Yeah.
Hugo Garcia had 30 and kicked a goal.
Well, I think the significance of this game for St Kilda just died when Carlton and the Bulldogs drew.
Yeah.
I think they're just like...
Do you think there's still a part of St Kilda that they want to finish on a kind of good note at least this season? Like they've had it's been a meh.
Yeah, it can be an interesting one emotionally here, as in getting yourself up for this Thursday night dead rubber against the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah.
I mean, the Gold Coast Suns, I'm trying to think, they got pants by Brisbane, but the week before that, they sort of put together a slightly improved body of work, and I think they've got plenty to play for too.
Beat the Giants.
Yeah, so I'd actually argue the Suns have more to play for from this final round.
It's funny, actually, like from a storyline point of view, I think clearly Gold Coast have had a way more disappointing season, but
yes,
kind of 2 teams that have flattered to deceive.
Yeah. I think St Kilda would have limped into the wild card had they. Like it would have been a pretty lucky outcome there, especially when you give Carlton a 1-8 start.
Oh my
God!
God.
You have the start on Carlton at 1 and they're 1-8.
Yeah.
So they'll be flat with this year. I think wild card would have been. I don't want to say the bare minimum because I probably didn't say that pre-season, but it's still flat to finish 11th after the investment they had. There's a lot of pressure on next year. I don't think it's imminently cause for action, but next year has to be the year for St Kilda.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with that. Someone just put in the chat, Lynch is 250th as well.
That's true. I knew there was another one. Yes, thank you.
That was the other part of it. The Saints did welcome back Alex Tyrou into the team.
Yeah.
So he got to have another appearance, as did Toby Travaglia. So they've started to get that blonde bombshell.
Yeah, there's a bit of blonde hair running around the field. I did notice that. Yeah, it was a talking point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Sticking to the serious stuff. We will move on to the Cats and the Kangas. Now, in real time, I was at the APS Grand Final while this game was being played, and there was some mixed messaging going on. You text me and said, wow, North. And I jumped on the app and I opened it up, and I actually saw the AFLW score, which was happening at the same time, and North were kicking their ass. So I'm like, oh, cool. Then I logged out, and then you wrote me another message saying, oh, damn North, or something after, and they come back. And then I went and clicked on it, and I'm like, oh, we're losing. And then I'm like, what happened before? It was just, there was a lot going on. Anyway.
It was nutty.
We kicked 7-1 in the first quarter. The Cats came back with 9-2 in the second quarter. They led at halftime. I don't know how you possibly can be 7-1 up at quarter time and be losing by halftime.
Well, you can win the clearances 25-4 at quarter time. That's how they did it.
Yeah. But then how do you...
Yeah. It is absurd to be up 43-6 and not lead at halftime.
It's so us.
You guys were awesome though. Like for the first quarter, So I was at the G for St Kilda Richmond, and I went to the pub and watched the first half, and I sort of missed the second half. But you guys were scintillating the first term. I think what I noticed between the two sides, between pints of alcohol, was just the pressure shifted.
Yep.
You guys were relentless in the first term. Geelong obviously responded.
Yep.
And from what I can gather from the second half, you kind of didn't go away either. which I think is something.
That has been, I think, the biggest room for improvement. We talked about it with the game against Western Bulldogs the other week. I think David King said it on the Fox broadcast where he's like, North kind of had to win this game twice against the Dogs, where like they came back, they punched us back, and generally that's where we would just collapse. Right, so we're starting to have these games where we're sort of, it's toing and froing, and we can wrestle momentum back a number of times, not just be in it when it's kind of good for us. I think that's kind of, there's a growth to that. And
Absolutely.
Also, like you said, like you're watching this game, and North can now be in these games that are actually, they're kind of high energy games. And you're going, oh, this is good to watch.
Yeah.
Like I can deal with this.
Absolutely. I suppose the next part will also be replicating it away from Marvel. I reckon you guys have been Marvel specialists this year.
Yeah.
But still, you probably would have taken that at the start of the year.
Yeah. So, it being a specialist at anything for this team like is actually incredible. So I mean, there's so many positives. I think, Trembath is actually genuinely looking like a bit of a star.
Yeah.
I'm loving the work that he's doing. He had 2 contested marks, and I think he kicked all his goals in the third quarter in this game.
Right.
Or at least 2 of them.
Yeah. I was on the train.
You know when you were saying you were watching the first half?
Yes.
Did you notice Jai Simpkin actually playing really well in this game?
Oh, no, I wasn't watching that closely.
Okay. Well, he had 26 and kicked 2 goals, 9 score involvements.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was actually really good in the forward half.
I think I did make a sarcastic joke when he did something good, now that I think about it.
Yeah, he was actually good
nice.
in this game. Wardlaw, 16 disposals, 8 tackles from 59% time on ground, and Sheasel got stung by a bee.
Oh, yeah, I was about to ask you about that next. You obviously saw that.
Yes.
It's a gruesome injury. Surely he's not playing next week.
I don't know.
I don't know if he was concussed either, but...
Yeah, I don't know if it was one of those ones where, like, maybe not, because it might have just been like, it was just a fracture.
It's possible, I guess, that he wasn't concussed, but if he is, then he's definitely out next week.
Just a fracture. He just got fractured.
Yeah, it looked
just
brutal.
a fractured eye socket.
I did sort of, not laugh, but I did notice that he's like walking with a limp as well. And I'm like, you know how you like get sore and you just sort of walk with a limp, and you're like, I wonder if that's psychological, or does he could easily just be sore.
I broke my collarbone once.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing that.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. Yeah. I do want to get a cold.
Yeah, interesting. Good chat. From a Geelong perspective, I think it was actually a pretty good, like in the end, they got jumped at the start, but it was good for them to be able to wrestle their way back into the game.
That's true, yeah.
Would have been really concerning for them to, firstly, they would have missed the top 6, which would have been bad, and they would have gone into finals with no momentum. I think the young players they've unveiled this year has been really, really good, particularly Polkinghorne.
Yep.
I think he looks like a serious player.
Wiltshire? I don't know how they say it.
Yeah, he looks pretty good as well,
Wiltshire.
as sort of like a bit of a connecting, a bit of a Charlie Spargo
type, yeah.
that connector going inside 50. They've got Dempsey, of course, Connor O'Sullivan, Shannon Neal. If they get Butters, along with Holmes and Bailey Smith, we're talking premiership favourites?
I think you'd probably still go Fremantle if you're looking at the start of next year. But yeah, they're in that mix for sure. I mean, they're still... I still have this feeling they're going to come out and they'll just like ruin someone's final series.
Maybe.
I don't think they can win the flag, realistically.
No.
But I could see them like I think back to previous years and Geelong come out in the finals and they're ready.
What? So when you say they could ruin somebody's final series, give me an example. Because they're going to be 6th.
I think they'll play an elimination final against the Crows. I think that's probably how it works out. And... I don't want to dismiss the Crows, but I wouldn't want to come up against Geelong.
Or Carlton.
I suppose, yeah, if Carlton knock off Adelaide, that's true, which at this point I wouldn't predict. And then who would they play in a semi? You'd probably be looking at Hawthorn or Brisbane, probably. Wouldn't tip them at the Gabba, but there'd be a great chance. I could see them knocking off Hawthorn in a semi.
If they beat the Hawks,
then they're in a prelim.
Then they'd have a semi.
Yes, then I think they'd probably be in Perth or Sydney.
Yep. I don't think they could beat one of the big boys.
I think they could beat Sydney.
Yeah, maybe Sydney.
They could beat Sydney.
I don't think Brisbane or Freo though.
I agree. That's as far as I'd go. Yeah. And with Melbourne in a final series, who knows? Like Geelong knocked them off in the home and away season. Hard to predict how that goes. Melbourne from the eye test look a bit better. But in a final series, that's where I'm like, sure, you might have to actually back Geelong there.
I feel like Melbourne are unpredictable in this final series. They could blow somebody really good away, and I think they're dangerous for a really good side.
Yeah.
But then they could equally like lose to a Collingwood, I feel.
So it could all happen in the same final series with the Ds, not to take this too far away from this game, but in 2018, they they made 5th. They finished 5th.
Yep.
Then they knocked off the Cats in week 1. And then they sent Hawthorn out in straight sets. And they were surging. And this was a group who hadn't played finals maybe at all, actually. I'm not sure about that. And then they went to the prelim to play the Eagles at Optus, where they had just beaten them 6 weeks prior. And they got slaughtered in that game. So we saw them ready, and then we saw them, oh shit, we're not quite ready in the same final series.
I suppose the equivalent of that could be like they hit a semi-final or a prelim final against Hawthorn, and then they're just not quite.
Yeah.
And a team that they've beaten twice this year.
Could happen.
Which is interesting. We will move on, though. We don't want to get too stuck on some of these games. I'm having a look at the comments. Wilbur says, new draft rankings soon, Dylan. Absolutely.
Yeah, we just filmed a mock.
Yeah,
it went perfectly.
Absolutely. There were no issues with that mock at all.
We have a mock coming out in the next couple of days, and we are working heaps on truefooty.com.au to build tools. Dylan's working on some crazy data at the moment. I've seen his spreadsheets, they're insane. And we've got a draftee comparison tool as well on the website for paid members, but also, yes, draft rankings and mock draft coming soon.
That sounded sexual. Gold Coast Suns re-signing Humphrey is a big move, 100%, absolutely. Shadow Light says, well, according to Mitch Cleary, Geelong are now the front runners for Butters. That was also factored into our mock draft.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Just throwing that out there. And yeah, people just talking about how scary it would be if Butters.
Yeah. Well, I remember the talk around them getting Ablett, and they had the Holy Trinity of Dangerfield, Ablett, and Selwood.
Yeah.
It did take them a little bit to get going, though. I reckon they made the grand final in their 3rd year together.
Yeah. All of a sudden, though, like this whole thing of Geelong being an old team, that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, it'd be fascinating to see if Collingwood would follow that.
They did that by stealth.
They did.
Brisbane defeated the Gold Coast Suns 95-53, a 42-point win. I don't have a lot from this game.
I don't think we need to spend too much time on this at all.
I know there was.
I didn't watch it because it was on the same time as the other games.
I feel like Gold Coast Suns at this point, like they were such a big story coming into the year. Then they were a big story for being bad, and now they're kind of getting to the point now where there's just cameras on Matt Rowell doing weird stuff before the games. Constantly. Like that's just like that's
Did
where
you do something this week as well?
Yeah, he like kind of did this. I don't know, like he kind of got on the like this was in the change rooms before the game, and he kind of like got in like a weird, not fetal position. What do you call it? Like some sort of an insect type pose, and was like sniff. There was like some ball like footies, and he was like smelling them or something.
Yeah, true. I also saw him one week doing a killer King Julian impression.
What's that?
King Julian. Oh my god, I forgot you haven't seen Madagascar. Let's move on.
Okay.
The audience loved it.
Yeah, so Matt Rowell being weird is kind of the main thing that I've got. I suppose like from a Brisbane perspective in this game,
they didn't lose. Ashcroft might be a talking point though. He's going from strength to strength, and I think we've kind of covered that as well because it's not the first time he's played well. I did see some suggestion he could be, I think it was on the AFL website, that he could be an All-Australian. And I feel like he took too long to get going.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I suppose...
But when he was so good.
He's had 10 weeks or something over 30 disposals, which is a fairly long time at being consistent at least.
I suppose so, but the season's been going for 23 weeks, so...
No, that's true.
So, like...
That's a fact.
There was, like, suggestion he was really struggling at some point.
Yeah, early on.
Yeah. I mean, whether he makes the All-Australian team...
They're midfield. I mean, if you go to the first part of the season...
Yeah, McCluggage, Dunkley, I think, as well, was in there struggling. It was just Neil, really.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess putting this All-Australian team aside, he's going to be a massive variable in this year's final series.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of people just saying Matty Rowell's a weird cat. Dane Zorko did have a good game at the weekend as well, so to have him back in form is big for the finals. You know, particularly that they're going to be coming up against that Freo side at some point, you'd think.
They did have 21 tackles inside 50 Brisbane, which is actually nuts.
Wow. When they're playing well, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And you just can't get the ball out. It's a scary situation to be in. I've been there.
Yeah, believe me. I am going to go to the bathroomus. I lasted a while.
You did.
I lasted a while.
Your Latin's getting better as well.
I did study law.
Yeah. I'll get through some of this stuff. People saying Myers as well with that Geelong team. Ollie Dempsey as well. No way Cats can get Butters. I mean, they just keep doing it though, don't they? They just keep getting it done. Jesse, I'm still flat that pernificus isn't a word. It really does sound like a word. Pernificus. It was a pernificus day. It just sounds like it should be. I agree with that one. The official UFL says, Matty Rowell is my favourite end of the spectrum, whatever it is, the footy-loving spectrum. Thank God for him and his Rowellness. I kind of agree. Like, it's good. Like, he's a bit of an oddball, absolutely, but it's kind of just fun just to have a person who's just sort of in their own world. And I love how he's just like such a footy nerd. Like, he's just doing his own thing and he's like, whatever. Like, other people try to be normal, but that I'm not going to do that. I like him. Could Ashcroft be a sneaky chance to poll well in the Brownlow, says Connors? He could poll well. I just feel like Dacos is going to be so strong. I think like there's predictions that he could crack the 50 vote mark. I don't think Ashcroft's going to be in that company. And I think the other thing supporting like a Dacos, for example, is that he just doesn't really have anyone to still vote. So when Collingwood win, it's like it's going to be Dacos. I think even he'll poll well in their losses as well, whereas Ashcroft is going to have company from Neil. Probably not McCluggage much this year, but, you know, maybe guys like Bailey, when they've had good games, could steal votes. Not that was your question. You just said, could he poll well? So, yeah, he probably could poll well. Joel Haver says, I honestly think Butters to Geelong might be overkill.
In terms of their balance?
I assume.
I don't think so. I think he's quite different. So.
I actually think he's like perfect for them.
Yeah, I think so too.
They've kind of got the Cats, I reckon. They've got a mixture of guys. They've either got like elite outside players or they've got elite contested ball winners that kind of can't run.
Yeah, and he gets from the inside to the outside as good as anyone in the comp.
Exactly.
So,
he's that connection piece for their midfield.
Yeah, I mean, Atkins would probably be the one that's in danger, right?
Of losing his spot?
Yeah, like I mean, in terms of interfering with his role, like Holmes and Smith and Dempsey, they're going to be uninterrupted, I would have thought.
Sure. I haven't got the numbers in front of me, but I'd imagine that Smith and Holmes don't spend, like they don't have an amazing amount of centre bounce attendances.
Yeah, let's double check that.
Have a look at that. Smith might. I feel like Holmes often comes from, like he goes behind the ball a bit, comes in off a wing and stuff like that. So I think like Buttles will just play like a permanent mid-roll.
Yeah.
You have guys like Mullen and Atkins that'll do like defensive tagging. Like Atkins kind of plays all over the shop.
You're right on Holmes, but not Smith. Smith is their number one with 77%.
Okay.
Holmes is down at 47% and hasn't actually started at a single centre bounce for the last 4 games.
Yep. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. That was out of bounds, says your boy Borlace signed a 3-year deal. Is he my boy? Borlace.
I don't know. I didn't see that. Is that broken today?
Okay.
There's been a lot of trade stuff. I've been updating the website furiously.
He had a fucking hard time at the weekend on Tracy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, true.
Wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
People gesticulating about Pernificus. I think it was it Pernificus or Pontificus? Pontificate is a word? Pernificus.
Pernificus sounds better.
Yeah. None of them are real. I think it sounds a bit like a Harry Potter character.
Sure.
Probably where I got it from.
Connors is asking who the Ds are going to get in the draft. Well, we just did a mock,
and
baby.
I've forgotten who they took.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't. But it's a...
Oh, yeah.
It's a... Jesse, it's a big name.
It is. Lengthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. In more ways than one.
Yes, as the Dutch would
it's
say.
It's actually... Yes, as the Dutch would say.
Yeah.
You
works.
You got that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Tie a ribbon on that.
Maybe... stop. Let's stop. I was going to make more jokes.
Let's go to Saturday night because we were here. We were watching it on the BenQ TK705 STI short drop projector, Jesse. This thing is it's not sponsoring the video today, but we can talk about it. It's here with us in spirit. Hawthorn and Collingwood. It was a draw, a 92-92 draw. And these two teams love a draw because it was the second time this season that they drew. Last time was back in, I actually can't remember the round, but it was 93 apiece.
Yeah.
This one was 92
round
apiece.
8, I think it was.
And I've actually got here that the score bug on this game, like the worm, was actually worm porn.
Yeah.
In the sense that it was just going everywhere. And so for people that like score worms...
You've clearly watched it.
It was for people that like that kind of thing.
Yes.
That was what this is.
Yes.
It's
whoever you are.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a better worm than some of the dance floor action you saw in the early 90s. Yeah. Let's stop trying to make jokes. I I have conflicting articles here saying it was the first time the two clubs in VFL AFL history have drawn each other twice in the same. Oh, sorry, no, that part's right. But when was the last time we had two draws in the same round? I think the answer is 1977.
Wow.
Yeah.
The same year that North Melbourne won the premiership.
Yeah, and the grand final was a draw. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
That's serendipitous.
You're getting better at this.
Yeah, we do say some random words on here.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at this. Am I? Unbelievable. I don't think we'll ever see that again where Dylan Moore is the kicker after the siren both times.
Both times.
That's just absurd.
Absolutely
You couldn't
absurd.
script it.
And then to have that shot, I mean, he was like, in real time, I didn't think there was any chance that he could have not made the distance.
Yeah.
It felt like it was such an achievable distance. When I watched it back, I'm like, okay, he was pretty far out. It was on an angle, so he's sort of kicking, like across the face of goal, which he obviously kept it there. Swadling knocks it back in. Like, it was pure theatre.
I'm building a footy simulator at the moment. By the way, if you want to follow that on Instagram, it's the List Manager AFL game. And I'm going to start posting some screenshots. It's made a lot of progress lately. But I was just thinking, this is where my brain's at the moment. I was like, if this happens in my game, if Hawthorn draw Collingwood twice in the same year and Dylan Moore kicks after the siren in both games, I'm looking at that going, nah, the simulator's fucked.
Yeah,
we need to start from scratch.
Something's going on. This can't happen twice.
Yeah, this would never happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, just unbelievable result. Obviously, Hawthorn, they're safe in the 4. I think only on percentage though. Like they're safe as far as it goes.
Well, they're safe
they
because they're not going to lose to West Coast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's okay.
You guys just are not good enough to even remotely challenge them, which means that this next...
chill. Hey, Jamie Cripps is retiring.
Yeah.
We might pull one out of the hat.
Yeah, like Richmond.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like
yeah, that's what I wanted to talk bigger picture. Well, first, I think Collingwood and their fans have got something to say to you, because you post an ultra provocative post before the game about how they're going to fall off a cliff. They got no youth. And boy, did they prove you wrong.
You dick. So, for clarity, I posted on Instagram. It was meant to be a discussion question. And evidently, it was too provocative because I actually thought I made the case on the back end of the post.
But you left it till too late.
I thought I made a compelling argument against. Basically, I decided I reckon Collingwood will be okay, but they've got to act now. But you don't get that outside of the argument until you get to like slide 5.
Yep.
So I just got this tirade of Collingwood abuse about how they're like, oh, clickbait. Someone blocked me.
And did they?
They actually said you're blocked. And then I clicked on the account and they had blocked me.
That is so Instagram.
It was hilarious.
But that's a problem because you put these like long... If you put a long post, you realise that people get to like the third slide and they go, fuck this.
Yeah, which I didn't factor in until I got the first hate comment, because I actually think Collingwood will just be fine, and I'm fascinated to see what they do next.
It is interesting.
But like their youth might be better.
It's hard to do a sort of a list analysis on Collingwood without talking about their age, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do still think you need to replenish with top end talent. As good as like some of these other players like Rowan Steele, Will Hayes, and Sam Swadling, they're not prime movers. Like, they're good, but they're not prime movers. Same with Ed Allen. Like,
100%.
You take out the best players and, well, those are the players you need to replace. This
is a really good talking point, I think, because it's the whole... Like I was saying about Murphy Reid going into this Fremantle team, and just like it's partly because he's a great player and he's looking $1 million, but I think Collingwood have a bit of that going on as well. They have such a good system and they have elite players in that system that are, some of them are older, some of them are Nick Dacos, who is young as well. But then these guys like Swadling and Ed Allen and Charlie West, who probably aren't the most talented players, they can sort of thrive, and it gives them a bit of time to develop in that already good system.
Yeah, Charlie West is hard to quantify. Like, he's a key position player.
Definitely.
Like, he could actually genuinely be good.
Probably more like Swadling, Hayes, these types of players that are late draft picks.
Yeah,
and they're doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Neil in helps, Hogan in helps. I'm not sure Butters is going to happen, so they're going to have to use that pick 12 or whatever it is quite well.
Absolutely. I want to talk Hawthorn, and this is the bigger picture thing. So where are they, Jesse? Where are the Hawks? What's going on with them? Because I had a bit of a look at today. I told you that I got really captivated by Fremantle on Friday night just because of the punches that the Crows were throwing at them in a game that meant nothing to them, and they just went, here we go. Bang. Their contest work is incredible. Hawthorn, I don't feel the same thing. And I saw this as an advantage for most of the season, that Hawks can go into these different tempos and they can kick the ball around and play this uncontested game style. I'm not sure if it's going to work against the best teams.
I agree.
That's where I'm a little bit worried about it from their point of view. I look at the games against the top teams. They beat the Swans in round 2. They beat the Cats in round 4 by 1 point, and since then they have not beaten a top 6 team.
I think it's from round 6 they haven't beaten a top 9 side. That's what I saw on First Track or something.
I just did top 6.
Yeah.
So they've lost in that time. They've lost to Freo. They've lost to Melbourne twice, and they've lost to the Lions.
That's a pretty bad record.
And they didn't get particularly close in any of them.
No. I think Geelong is a better shout almost for the flag. Maybe not for the flag because the whole top 4 thing. Like, it'll be tough to do it from 5th or 6th. I also think neither of them will win the flag. But I'm just sort of let's reframe it as this: they're playing a semi-final at the MCG. Like, I actually think the Cats look better.
I think I kind of agree with you. Yeah. I can't exactly put my finger on it. I called out the game style there, which I think is a part of it. I think going into that as well is like they just aren't getting enough productivity out of the smalls.
Yeah.
So outside of Nick Watson, who can put in an absolute shift, although if he's not playing well, that's a problem. But like they're not getting like what's happened to Dylan Moore?
Oh, he was pretty good in this game.
He was, but in general,
except for the set shot,
yes,
which was a tough shot. Yeah, I agree with you. I just think back though to last year. Remember they slid to 8th. And then sort of revealed themselves to actually be a top 4 team in the finals.
They did have a good final series.
We could see that again. That's the devil's advocate look to this because they're sort of unconvincing at the moment. But, I mean, getting blown apart by Brisbane was a bit of a red flag and it's not isolated.
No.
They did beat Geelong in round 4, you say? It's a long time ago now.
It doesn't feel good.
No.
It doesn't smell good.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure they're a true contender. I think we have 2 teams.
Yeah. And I've loved them. I love what they do, but I'm worried about them. Andrew Wu on Twitter, a bit of a stank or bank, says, not really a stank or bank, but says, Tom Barrass is moving like he's aged 4 years in 4 months. Doesn't look anything like the player he was. We talked about this the other night. I think this is so true. He looks immobile as fuck.
Yeah, so I guess there's a few points to that. First of all, he's never been super mobile.
No.
I think he's probably being exposed a little bit with the ball coming in quick. Like Collingwood are a pretty good transition side. So it's not as though they're playing with the ball coming in high. You know, he was probably always going to get exposed on the lead, but especially against some of those quicker forwards. There's that. There's also his body is also like when in 2022, I think, at West Coast, he sort of landed on his neck and had a career-threatening injury. And the suggestion was he was going to live with pain for the rest of his career, but could technically play. So that was all sort of baggage that Hawthorn assumed. All that to say, like, he's obviously good enough to play, but I just think the body is always going to be a question mark.
Yeah.
And he's not quick to begin with.
Yeah. I just wonder if something's happened where he's lost just like another small margin. Like he's lost another 5% movement.
It's possible. But some players carry knocks and you don't know, and you just think that, especially if they're over 30. I've just gifted 5 free memberships on YouTube to Dan's, Josh Chaos, Sean, You're on Mute, Mick, and Brady. That's randomly assigned. You get a free membership for a month.
Absolutely. You're a kind-hearted soul, Jesse.
I know.
For doing those sorts of things. People saying, are we just putting a line through the Swans now? Well, that's from LCMC.
I must admit, like, rightly or wrongly, I've kind of put a line through them mentally for a while.
This doesn't help.
Yeah, there is a little bit of the pretender vibe about that team.
There is.
Just a little bit of downhill skiing, in my opinion.
Their
record against the best teams is not great.
And the 2 grand final smashings doesn't help.
Which, maybe that's unfair, to be honest. But
a lot of the same guys, though.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But also, like, sometimes, like, teams that have choked in finals before do eventually overcome that. Doesn't mean it's going to continue in perpetuity. But what's their record against the best teams this year? I do think they have gotten them a lot of them away from home. On the flip side, Fremantle's gotten a lot of the best teams at home, which is going to work out really nicely for them because it won't happen until grand final day. Most likely they play someone out, not at Optus. But Sydney, so they torched Brisbane earlier in the year at the SCG. But since then, they've lost at the Gabba. They've lost at GMHBA. The Cats beat them.
Yep.
They've lost at the G to Hawthorn.
Yeah, although they had a lot of outs that game. But
True. And a long time ago.
Which actually goes back into the Hawthorn conversation too.
Yes.
About.
Yes, true. And Melbourne, they beat early in the season at the SCG by 3 goals. They lost to Adelaide at home. So that record doesn't stack up well, albeit there's a lot of travel in that too.
Yeah, that's fair. We will move on. I'm going to go to the bathroom quickly.
Okay, I'm look at the chat. Thank you, Dans, who says this is the best YouTube footy show. I appreciate you. Connor says, "Where's my membership?" I don't think it's actually possible to decide who gets a membership. It just happens. Ozate says, "Okay, I know who." I wanted to ask Jesse and Dylan who they think will win the Brownlow this year. Well, mate, I think it has got the most. This is the most obvious Brownlow winner ever. On truefooty.com.au, members for free can vote on every game in the Brownlow medal. And I should note that you can vote on the round that just happened. I did that today. And Nick Dacos on the website has passed 50 votes, which may not be accurate, but either way, I think, he'll probably break the record of 46, I reckon. Bailey Smith has also moved into second on the website. Max Gawn has slid out of the top 3. Max Gawn is third. Bontempelli has slipped out of the top 3 as well, which is a nice little interesting twist. I do love the website's Brownlow tracker. Nightwish says, Sydney don't play and the unlucky Saints finally come through to beat Carlton and get revenge. Sydney don't play. Okay, you're talking about Sydney not playing finals and St Kilda could come in and I don't think they play Carlton in the finals though. Unless I'm misinterpreting your comment there. Melbourne beat Collingwood in an elim. Yeah, that would be an elimination final. Beat Hawthorn at the G. Beat Sydney in prelim and beat Freo at the G. How's that? So Melbourne, their pathway to the grand final.
Yep.
They beat Collingwood in an elimination final. They beat Hawthorn at the MCG. So far, haven't left Melbourne. They beat Sydney in a prelim and then beat Freo at the G in... Oh, what a dream run for a team that finishes 6th.
I think it's like...
Or 5th or whatever.
I don't think that's as crazy as it sounds.
No, I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy.
I do this.
I still think I'd tip Freo in the grand final. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I would too, but that's a possible run. That's plausible that could happen.
It is plausible. I agree.
Melbourne defeated Port Adelaide.
Yep.
This was the same time as the Collingwood Hawthorn game, so we didn't watch this one in real time.
No.
A bit of a stinker. I mean, I feel like the season for Port Adelaide, they really at this point just want it to end.
Yeah.
They got no Butters. They got no Rosie. 132 to 56, a 76-point win to the D's, who kind of just got the job done. I watched the highlights of this morning, and pretty much Melbourne kicked the first 4 goals of the game, and Port didn't really do much after that. Like that was kind of the game. That was 7 goals to 1 at quarter time. There was somebody that posted a picture, and I saw the video. They posted a video link, of after the game. And Connor Rosie walking on the field with his injured hamstring. And like, this has been how long since he did that?
Yeah, so he had surgery, I presume?
He had surgery.
Yeah.
So there was like apparently
he was out for when we played him in round 2. So it's that long ago at least.
It's that long ago that he's done this hamstring injury. So it's a hamstring that had like a nerve element to it, which obviously complicates it significantly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he was moving just so poorly. Like, and I don't know when he's had the surgery or whatnot, but he like kind of changed. He was sort of walking relatively normal, and then he like changed direction. And it was like what we were saying before about the Sheasel thing, where like he had just a massive limp.
Yeah.
And it's been a year.
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, it's been 5 months, but still significant.
A season is kind of what I meant there. Not literally a year.
Yeah. Yeah. So March he does it. You presume he wouldn't have waited around too long for surgery. I know that sometimes clubs sort of and ah about surgery. But if it's a serious injury, I would have thought surgery was kind of a no-brainer. So that is a concern. I'm no doctor, but yeah, that is not good news. I think Port Adelaide generally are limping to the end of this season here with no Butters.
It was Heath that posted it on Twitter and said, in a game where Port lost by 76, amazing that the most depressing part of our whole night actually came post-game. Watching Connor Rosie move turned like he was like the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
This was a round 2 injury. That nerve damage has me.
What was it?
Emoji.
One more time?
And
again? I don't want to see how many times you do it. I understood the first time.
I won't stop.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I've got a question for you.
Hit me.
How hard do you think Port Adelaide will attack this draft? They get Cochrane, clearly. He's going to come in the first couple of picks for a bid. They'll have to match on that with their opening selection. They've got the Butters thing going on. How aggressive
They need to be aggressive. They need to walk away with this with another first round pick.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I reckon they need to walk away with another top 10 pick.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? The specifics of which are a little hard to speculate on, but if they trade, say, Butters to Geelong, they've got pick 14. So you'd think futures would be involved in that as well. I reckon if they get picks in 2027, they're not going to trade those because they've got more academy players next year. So whether it's a 2028 pick that they use, or do they try and get 14, 32 and something in the future, use 14 and 32 to trade up again. So that there's ways that they can do it. And could they land a top 10 pick? Someone like a Mitch Harris would be nice to start their rebuild. What other sort of players do you think? I mean, you'd probably want like midfielders and key position players, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Particularly midfielders, I think.
I feel like if you could get up into that top 10, you could target someone like a Coda Edwards.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So local talent.
Yeah, local talent that's got a really nice contested game, can push forward. You could sort of build a midfield around him to some degree. And, you've already got Jason Horne-Francis there.
That's true.
As long as they can get Connor Rozee back into the team. I feel like Connor Rozee is probably going to play most of the rest of his career, maybe at halfback.
Yeah, fair question.
More so than in the midfield.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, no Sparrow as well. It's worth noting from the earlier contract news today. One of the biggest talking points of this game we haven't mentioned, and we also have glossed over it with Melbourne's finals run, is the fact that Van Rooyen's been suspended for 3 weeks.
I was going to say that. So they're going to try to get this down to 2. I think most of the feedback coming from journalists agrees that he will be able to get it down to 2.
Okay.
But it'll still mean that he misses the first final.
Yes.
Which will mean that it'll be a knockout final. So they could be gone before he plays another game.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Even though we did just theorise them making the grand final and winning it.
Yeah. That's right. No, it's obviously 2 makes a big difference. So Melbourne v Collingwood, is that the expected matchup? Can they beat them without Collingwood?
Would it be so it'll be most likely Collingwood are going to hit Western Bulldogs and Adelaide are going to hit Carlton, right?
Yeah, that ladder's not quite correct.
Yeah, it's not quite right. So you would expect that they would play. They'll be 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they'll get the Pies.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they could win that, definitely, without Van Rooyen.
Yeah. I think Melbourne probably still win.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Who knows? Collingwood are playing some good footy.
Yeah. Joel Haver asks, this is about Port Adelaide, should they tank this week on the off chance Butters chooses Richmond?
Who do they play?
Essendon.
Oh, yeah. That'd be fascinating.
That's actually...
Yeah.
That's a good get.
I mean...
It's all linked.
It's hard to pull off getting 23 blokes to not try and win just for your club to get a draft pick. There's a disconnect between what the players want and what the list management team wants. And
presumably Port Adelaide know what they're getting there. Like essentially, like they know what club they're going to be dealing with.
Yeah. If Butters has decided.
Yeah, which it sounds like he has.
Maybe.
I think the more interesting conversation around that is, do Port Adelaide match or not? Because we spoke about that last week, and we spoke about the fact that Sparrow could have been involved in a free agency deal, which means that they're definitely going to match.
Yeah.
So that they just get the picks back. But maybe there's a world where the compensation becomes more valuable.
Maybe. You'd have to weigh that up. But I think there's also an argument for even accepting pick 14, 32 and a future first. Even that I think is still unders, actually. Mm-hmm. I reckon you've got...
Compo will be pick 5 though.
Yeah, that's right. But when it gets absorbed, it'll be pushed back marginally. Mm-hmm. But in that scenario, Port don't get an extra pick next year, which they will value.
Yep. Yeah, but the pick won't be high.
No, it won't be high, but it's still an asset.
Yeah, and obviously with the players that they've got coming through, the pilots and...
Yeah, I think Port Adelaide would ask for a decent amount more than 14 and a future first. More than that.
Yeah, interesting. We will move on to the big one on Sunday. Maybe the biggest game of the round.
Finally, everyone says.
GWS defeated the West Coast Eagles 111-57, a 54-point win. I watched the beginning of this game and I was like, West Coast are showing a little bit here.
And then for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then they didn't. They didn't, Jesse. They didn't show anything. What were your thoughts?
We just got our asses handed to us. I think it was interesting though with the Giants. It sort of summed them up this season. Was we kind of saw them briefly at their worst, and that was the poor defending. When West Coast scored 4 goals from the back half, you know you're doing something wrong. I think it was our first 4, if I'm not mistaken. And our ball movement is diabolical. So that sort of signified a little bit of how bad GWS are at defending the ground sometimes.
Yeah.
And then at whether it was quarter time or just before quarter time, they completely rectified that. Their ball movement was damaging. It was a typical GWS win where like a lot of the numbers are even. Like you wouldn't look at the stat sheet and think, wow, that's a domination. But watching it,
they just punished you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you compare the young talent of the two sides and it doesn't make for good reading for West Coast.
Do you reckon there's an element with the Giants that where like this year there was an expectation because of, I suppose, like some of the like players that were towards the end of their career, we saw it as a bit of a transition period. Like how similar are they actually to the Gold Coast Suns as far as like having a high degree of talent?
Mm-hmm.
They got it's just the narrative is different. Like the Gold Coast Suns got Christian Petrarca, and they gave away a lot of capital for him, whereas the Suns got Clayton Oliver. They didn't have to give up as much for him, but they were kind of, at their pomp were considered, I keep using that word tonight for some reason, at their pomp.
We both do that.
Yeah.
Pontificus.
Pontificus. But like at their best, both of those players were considered top level players in the competition. They got Clayton Oliver, Gold Coast got Christian Petrarca. For some reason, for the Giants, it's like they kind of get this out.
Get this out. Oh,
they get an out. Like it's not seen as such a disaster this season for them.
Oh, well, I think that there's a few things to that. GWS's injury list has been severe, and that started early with Tom Green doing an ACL. And I think they have sort of shed a skin, as it were. Now they don't.
Gross.
They're only down to 3. Fuck, I've lost my own track. I think has been a more clear push towards the youth. Now, again, that could be perception a little bit because Gold Coast are deceptively young too. Now, they quickly became the youngest team in the comp for a little while there, with some draft picks being played. But across the board, like a lot of their best players are still quite young. So there is a little sense of, did we go a little early on their expectation? I think it was reasonable when they win a final.
Yep.
With GWS, they have just been stockpiling young talent and, I don't know if they've had an out, but they also haven't fallen as hard as Gold Coast.
No, they haven't.
So I think they've had their criticisms. In fact, I think the narrative on them has been a little wrong. We've talked about this, how they're over the cliff, whereas I'm like, and we've talked about it, they've actually been preparing for this for a while. They're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I completely agree with it. Yep. I did want to talk about West Coast. I saw a tasty little clippable piece of content here, Jesse.
Oh, good.
This was off the back. There's a bit going on here in this post. It was posted by the Nuffington Post, which I think is a West Coast Twitter channel. Reposted Jasper Challiper. So Jasper Challiper posted, Sam Swadling has never struggled to find the footy. Had a 47 disposal day in the Waffle Colts last year. 29 last night against Hawthorn, plus the game-tying spoil on the line. So much talent that gets undervalued out of WA. And then the Nuffington Post, which is a West Coast channel, reposted that. Yeah, I think so. It's got a West Coast picture in the...
I know the Nuffington Post. I didn't think it was West Coast at all.
It appears to be. Posted and said, taken 2 selections before Tyler Williams, by the way. Did West Coast miss a player in Sam Swadling, in your opinion?
Possibly. So that's a little iffy, though, because we took Sam Allen.
Yes.
Before, who you would agree was the right choice?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So then after that, we just had late picks to match Tyler Williams' bid. So we didn't actually have a pick in that range.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so that's not quite right.
That's poor journalism.
Yeah.
By the Nuffington Post.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, obviously, you had access to Sam Swadling.
We could have taken him at 29.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit, that which was Sam Allen. I'm a little bit reluctant to say we got that wrong. That's a little harsh on Sam Allen.
No, you absolutely didn't.
No, it's from a talent point of view.
Yeah.
I won't claim to have known him at the time. He went under my radar. But from what I've researched, he seemed like a highly rated talent who did an ACL. So
yeah,
I'm not too sure about that one.
I'm not actually. I just wanted to have the conversation because I'm not even the biggest fan of Sam Swadling. I wouldn't have had him any higher than that.
Sure.
In the draft, I think he's a big-bodied mid, finds a footy.
I was more of a Banfield fan.
Yeah,
and I still think there's a future for Charlie Banfield. I think he'd certainly get a game at West Coast. And we did slip that up, in my opinion. So
yeah, that's maybe a bigger conversation point. I wonder what people think about that.
we have a snooper chat from Shoe Snatch and Willie. Thank you. GWs have slid each year: prelim, semi, elimination final, and miss. That's a worthy shout, absolutely. I also just think what they've done from a list point of view under the surface, like I think you use the phrase rebuild by
It's not the same team.
No.
It's not. So like the prelim to semi to elim to miss is completely different teams, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of new blood in that team.
You're talking the first year that
I think
Kingsley...
Haynes was playing in that first one for a
Yeah,
start.
when Kingsley first got the job as coach, like that was old GWS. Like that was the really properly the kind of like, you know, Toby Green, Cornelio, Kelly.
Phil Davis. I reckon he played in 23, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for sure. Like it was like the midfield's completely changed. Those guys like Kelly and Cornelio are either not in the team or they're like kind of bit part players now. Yeah. They're role players. It's changed a lot.
Absolutely. I think they've nailed their picks, which is why I'm watching West Coast GWS and I'm like, I don't think our kids are better than ours. There's, with the exception of Dersman and Reed, I wouldn't trade them.
I feel the same
but
way.
Position for position, like Cadman over Job. The number of smalls that they have.
And then you're like, how are they got a number one pick?
Yeah.
Where'd they get that from?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Yeah. Well, you guys let that happen.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember them finishing on the bottom.
Yeah, they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't.
They didn't.
They're a very well-run club, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. Connor's asked a few times, what is Cal Shadir's trade capital from a Melbourne perspective? Second rounder?
Yeah, definitely a second rounder.
Where did he go in the draft? Like really late?
It was a late father-son match, so
Yep.
hard to quantify his ranking because sometimes they slide, right?
Yep. Excuse
me. Not sure. Connors, though, has a question for you. Why is Noah Williams not in the top 20 true footy rankings?
Noah Williams, I think, is like one of those classic cases where he's a guy that plays like a really strong, like he's got a really strong game, but he doesn't have a lot of like future potential.
He's a bit of a generalist as well.
Bit of a generalist. So like watch him at the national. I think it's a good thing to see what he did at the national championships. He played a little bit of midfield, but the coach has started to put him to half back because they're like, I don't think clubs are going to see him as a midfielder.
He's quite small.
He's 177 centimetres, which is small for a midfielder. He has a crack, this guy. Like he's made of the right stuff, but he's 176 centimetres. He's not quick. He's a good kick, I think, but he's not an elite kick.
Yeah.
So like other than he loves a tackle, he's aggressive, he's a smart player. You know, you're not talking about necessarily like a really high level player there.
Yeah.
You're talking about someone that could get drafted in a specific role, but I think that's maybe the limit for Noah Williams.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you do see there's a different like rating around draftability, and that's probably going to apply a little bit to Leo Steed, right? You were saying like one of the best performed players at the champs, right? Had a really strong carnival, but didn't really push him into the like top 15 might be a stretch.
This is kind of the difference, and like in the champs.
Yeah.
So if you're calling it a form guide and it's the form of these guys, like he probably is there.
Yeah.
But I think that's a different conversation to where he actually gets drafted.
They do change a fair bit too.
Yeah.
The phantom form guides.
Yeah.
Prior to the draft. Cool.
Connor says, is Williams a bit of a Greaves slider? I don't think it's the same thing. Like, I don't want to make those two. Like, I think Williams will be a bit of a slider. Like, it's that classic situation of if you go back to the start of the season this year, you don't have that picture of all the players, and Williams is going to just get slowly overtaken. I don't necessarily think Greaves was perceived to have been like overtaken by anyone. He's like I think with Greaves, it was a combination of he's an old school kind of inside contested type midfielder. And I think clubs saw his personality as a player that was very much like thought he was the guy. Like he thought he was the main part of a team, and that was his personality. And I think clubs saw the player that he actually was as a player that's more of a role player, and then he didn't have the right character to be a role player.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Interesting insight. Yeah. Let's move on from this game.
Move on. So that was GWS and West Coast. Not a lot on the game. Now, this was seriously a big game, and I made a point of watching this one. Carlton, Western Bulldogs. So much riding on this. Carlton just had to win against a Bontempelliless Western Bulldogs. And I'm like, they're gonna get this done right. It's going to be okay. And I'm watching the game and I'm like, this is not okay. Like they lost control of this game massively. You had the Dogs at the bottom end of their team. Luke Kennedy was playing, Lockie Carmichael was playing, Louis Emmett, Josh Dolan. So it was a pretty inexperienced young Western Bulldogs side. I think, did you make the point before that they were like the sixth youngest team?
Across the year, the sixth youngest.
That's gone under the radar.
Yeah, it has. It has. Yeah, I think, Kane Corns sort of pushes the narrative that they're underachieving. And maybe that's not reflective of the actual data, but just based on the turnover that they've had.
I think they're a bit of it, like their balance of list is a bit in that Sydney category where like they've got some real superstars that are in their prime, and that makes you think that it's a better list than what it actually is.
I don't think it's as far off as you think though. Like if they added a high quality key defender, what's missing after that?
For sure. They're just hard to find. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's all like a lot of teams are chasing that. Like I reckon that's going to be a problem for North.
I think it's system as well. Look, if you look at the Adelaide Crows and their best key defenders, a lot of those were not high profile recruits. Like, okay, Worrell, they drafted in the second round and developed him. Jordan Butts, if I'm not mistaken, sort of came into the side as a rookie and like looked good. And Mark Keane sort of recycled through Collingwood and then Ireland and then back. And then Borlays, like I suppose there's a coaching and structural thing happening there. And my point there is maybe they can replicate that, in which case I think their profile shifts again, or at least their prospects do. Right?
Yeah. No, I think, and they draft really well.
They do.
Yeah. Sam Power, I think, is the list manager there. Does a very good job.
That's true, yep.
The expected score for this game was 78-73 in favour of the Dogs, 58-48 inside 50s for the Dogs. And Carlton had 146 marks to 76. So
wow.
Carlton played that. They've been doing that a lot under Josh Fraser.
Yeah.
Really controlling the ball.
Changing the angles.
But it just didn't really go anywhere for them in this game. So this was maybe the first game under Fraser where you sort of went, okay, they're coming up against a team they probably should be beating here. And they kind of lacked the cut through. But I suppose ultimately they got the job done with the draw.
Yeah, exactly. So Connors has a question here. Was it a mistake from Carlton to play for the draw rather than for the win? Mackay could have kicked it forward and gotten them a chance to win and not have to play Adelaide.
I actually thought about this as it was happening. I was trying to figure it out in the last final few minutes, and I did. It legitimately crossed my mind as Mackay had the ball. I'm like, maybe you just go, because there was at that point there's probably very little chance that they were going to lose it. But I sort of do understand that you would go into conservative mode there, where you decide because they don't really fully know how long's left, and it's easy to lose control of the ball.
They also would have been slaughtered had they played on and lost, right?
Oh, imagine that.
People would have said, "Oh, you could have taken the draw."
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but it is very valid to point out their opponent. I'm sure they'd much rather play Collingwood. Now, if they beat Fremantle, it will be Collingwood, right?
It will be.
Yep. Whereas if they don't, then they'll play Adelaide.
Yeah, and this goes into a question about Freo. What do Freo do here? Because there is an argument that, long season, Freo have earned the right to be able to rest their players because of like how far in front of the top of the ladder. But then with a wild card, do you want to rest players given that you're going to have to rest them again anyway?
Absolutely. I think you're right. I don't think you want to rest too much. Fremantle will also likely win the qualifying final, which gives them another week off.
Yeah.
And it interrupts their preparation too much.
So they'll be playing basically, like before a possible grand final, it'd be like 2 games in a month.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Which isn't great. That seems like that tends to bring into play like slow starts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You find?
Mind you, I mean, nothing's changed from last year. It's just that wildcard will play.
The only thing that's changed is there'll be if the wild card teams qualify, they'll be playing more games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll have perhaps an advantage or a disadvantage.
Yeah,
whichever
possibly.
way you want to look at it.
Possibly, yeah. It could go either way, so I don't think it's a huge
I mean, it's ultimately something you just got to handle.
A lot of love for Ed Richards too.
Oh yeah, he was really
he was awesome. It was, what is it, like the highest rated Bulldogs game
ever?
That's what it was. Yeah, 35.
Yeah.
Far out.
Bond plays for that club.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, he had 31 disposals, 2 goals, 644 metres gained. And in a way, like there was a couple of players for the Dogs in this game that like Carlton just couldn't get a handle on them. He was one of them, obviously.
Yeah.
Artie Jones was another one.
Yeah, right.
He probably played the best game I've seen him play.
Still out of contract.
Yeah, he was really, really good in this game.
Yeah.
And Libba was good too. 12 clearances for the Libanator. No one's ever called him that.
We haven't really talked about Carlton and reappointing Josh Fraser. Or reappointing. I mean,
Yeah.
giving him the permanent
So
gig.
you were saying to me before that you think this is a terrible decision.
You've got to stop doing that. I did not say that, for the record. I did say, I think I said it on this stream actually, that I thought it would be funny if they had told him on Friday he's getting the permanent job, and then they lose their last 2 games. That would have been kind of funny.
Do you think they have made the decision now officially to kind of give them a bit of a shot in the arm?
But yeah, maybe that's why. I don't know if I would have done it. I would have taken the sensible approach and waited it out.
Why is that sensible?
To have more information. The later you make the decision.
Yeah, okay.
Right, and there's no real need to have re-signed him right now. He's not going anywhere.
So give me the when you say to have more information, give me the alternate routes that could happen here.
Well, I suppose in hindsight it's okay because they've now made the wild card, but like it was possible at the time that they would have lost. But furthermore, like what if they just get pants in the last 2 games from here?
Mm.
And then it's like, oh, you could have had June Syracuse. I don't know. I'm just saying I probably would have waited till the end of the finals.
I find these things really, really difficult because I like we've talked about it a bit, and on the one hand, I'm like, how could you possibly have how could you give it to anyone else? And like I kind of agree with that narrative of like basically going to be going for an untried coach, a Gian Syracuse or an Enright or whoever it might be, who have had 0 experience, and you have no data to back that up against a guy that's basically like he's clearly done a great job in the situation. There's no doubt about that. Mm. So head to head, like how can you not give it to him? But then at the same time, I do think there is a bit of a trap in the interim coach.
Yes.
You see that in sports all over. That's not just a thing to AFL.
Path of least resistance too, which I'm not saying it's the wrong call, but it is undoubtedly the true one, and probably the outcome that they got criticised for the least if it doesn't go well.
What's the best way to deal with this then when you get it? Like you get an interim coach that comes in, because it happens all the time, because a club gets the coach changes, and I think what happens is like the playing group kind of rallies, and there's a bunch of guys that weren't getting a go under the old coach, and then they become like they get a bit of a shot in the arm. Because
happened with David Teague to a lesser extent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So like, how do you as a club where you're in this situation with Josh Fraser and you almost have to give him the job? How do you what do you do?
Yeah.
What's the answer? I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, to go against my own point, the counter argument for Fraser is that, look, on the one hand, I do think this resurgence has come from not just entirely Josh Fraser. I think a lot of this has come from the playing group, right?
Well, so this goes back to my original, like at the beginning of the season, and I tipped them to make finals.
Yes.
And everyone was like, they're shit. Like, and they kind of
nice way of bringing that up subtly.
I really don't mean to like blow my own trumpet there, but the reason that I made that call is because I thought they underachieved from a playing group perspective, a pure playing group perspective. They underachieved the year before.
Yes, absolutely. I do think a lot of this has come from the playing group, and I'll be pretty surprised if they start next year like they've ended this one. Yeah. To be honest with you, just deep down. I agree they've underachieved. What they've achieved from a playing style difference, like that doesn't just happen in 1 week. It's not as though Josh Fraser just got them to adapt to that game style after 1 week. That was a lot of variables at once. That they've been working on it for a while. It wasn't working. Refreshed mindset, pressure's off a little bit, and it goes. I'm taking too much from Josh Fraser. I realise that. I'm sure he's a really good coach, but I do wonder how much is actually his brilliance. On the other hand, though, it has to not be ignored that after he took over, I think they're second, like in the win-loss. So
it's quite incredible.
So there is absolutely. Happened. So there is a sense of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think on balance, they probably have made the right call. I'm just not sure.
I also think it's one thing if they were like second bottom on the ladder and they win, I don't know, there's like 6 games to go. They win 4 out of their last 6 under an interim coach, and they're kind of dead rubbers. But they have actually qualified for finals.
Yeah. And unlike other caretaker coaches, this has been a longer stint. Like on average, a coach, like he got sacked. Oh, sorry, he's actually stood down. He stood down earlier than most coaches do, right? It was like round 9.
Yeah, something like that.
So whereas sometimes you get them like round 15. So there's a bigger body of work of him doing well than say a David Teague did.
Yeah.
And a much more impressive one, to be fair.
In a way, I suppose like going back to the whole like what do you do in this situation if you're a club? Like that would be the argument for, we debated like week after week. I'm like, do they sack Voss now? Do they sack Voss? it's sort of the argument against just holding on to Voss until the end of that season. So you don't have to have the interim coach.
Yeah.
Then you just get to the end of the season, you interview everybody and you just make a call from scratch.
Yeah. Mind you, I'm sure that this season is still a net positive for the development and the memberships and the growth of the kids and their confidence, right?
Yeah,
So-
100%. Well, I do. I think that Harry Dean, Jagger Smith, those kind of players, Taylor Byrne, what they get out of this is bigger under Fraser than what they would have got under Voss, under what they were doing before. I just have a little update on the Sydney Swans situation.
Okay.
Mitch Cleary. Isaac Heaney visited Victoria Police Headquarters today to be questioned. No arrests have been made. The Sexual Crime Squad has taken over investigations.
Wow. There you go.
Wow.
So worth noting there, he wasn't arrested. He visited.
He visited.
So that's important to clarify at this
But
point
it
in
is
time.
the Sexual Crime Squad.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a lock.
Yep.
Wow.
I'm going to go to the bathroom again. I've had a lot of water today, and then we'll do the last 2 games.
I'm going to go through these comments. Yeah. No, I'm just processing that information. Shadowlight says, what better way to baptise Fraser as a Carlton coach than the Blues to lose their next games? The second half curse. Yeah. It would have been I reckon they were very, very lucky to get out of this with a draw, to be fair. Imagine if they actually ended up, because supposedly the decision was actually made previous to this week. Imagine if they had actually missed finals after all that. That would have been incredible. What else do we have? I think Josh is a different case, to be honest. He's been a developmental coach for a number of years. He would probably be a contender for a coaching role next year if he didn't take the role. I think that's a really good point. I don't think we're not trying to argue that this is a bad decision either, because they could be just getting to the correct answer here anyway. It's just we're just kind of having a discussion about it, to be honest, because there can be a trap of hiring the interim coach. I sort of agree with you. I actually don't think this is that situation. And it's really like what Josh Fraser has been able to do. It's just been so compelling anyway that it's hard to argue. Vincent Janine says, I'm not a Blues fan, but they are so lucky to have scored such a great fit as Josh Fraser. Yeah, I agree. I rate him. Redback Spider, though, with a little bit of a contrarian answer. A smart club waits to see how the season ends. Emotional decisions don't end up well. Yeah, I think that that would be an overarching good position to take, I feel. I do think there is an emotional part to it, and I think there is a part of them that have gone what can we make of this season? How far can we go this season? Has played into it a little bit, at least for the announcement, because they didn't have to announce him now.
No.
So they've done that for this. They've done that for 2026.
Yeah.
Is that a crime?
That's not a crime. I wouldn't have done it, but I don't think it's a big deal either.
I do think it's kind of the same situation though. It's do we prioritize draft picks and kids, or do we get a player in that can help us now? It's kind of that sort of a move.
Are we still talking about Carlton? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I sort of came back in the middle of that.
No, the Sydney thing.
Yeah. I've lost. I've forgotten what the question was. I think I had my own thread going there. I was actually thinking, sorry, I'll get you to ask me again. Could they have even interviewed June Syracuse and Wright in the middle of the season? Because I thought that typically reappointments happen after grand finals.
When you say could he be a part of the process? You mean?
Have they actually interviewed June Syracuse and Corey Enright and whoever else went for the job, Jamie Graham?
I thought they'd done. I thought they'd had a process.
It was just occurring to me for the first time. That's pretty unconventional for the middle of the season. I thought there was a reason this always happens.
Isn't Essendon doing the same thing now?
Yeah, but not necessarily with club-tied assistants. James Hird was part of it. None of those guys are they.
McVee is.
McVeigh.
What did I say?
McVie. You're thinking of Judd.
Potato.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, maybe I'm tripping there. Maybe it's just around the finals that they don't do it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Shadowlight saying he heard the flush. It was violent. I definitely did shut the door.
Shadowlight's gone with the dunny. That's a throwback. Calling it the dunny.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that for a while.
Yeah, not since Noah played fullback for Bethlehem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so we actually didn't even talk about the players in this game, but Sam Walsh, huge game. He was massive. Akers kicked that incredible goal and had 32. It was a bit of a... he's probably one of those players that was struggling under Voss and has had a bit of a renaissance.
Yeah.
Patrick Cripps, 12 clearances. And Hayward was going incredibly well until he kind of jarred his knee in that screamer marking contest. Going back to when we talked about Curnow leaving, do you think Hayward has done enough to sort of like fill that void for the time being? I know they're different. They're very different. Like, he's not a beast at the key forward. He's done all right, though, Hayward.
Yeah, sure. I think they definitely need to address that hole in their 23, though. Mitch McGovern's had a great year as that kind of like placeholder as a forward.
I don't know if he's had a great year. He's
produced good. He's kicked goals.
Yeah, he's had a Mitch McGovern-ish year.
Not like Charlie Curnow output, but I mean, like, they've kind of made that work.
Yeah, they have. That's true. And I did want to shout out Taylor Byrne because I just like him.
You are a fan, yeah.
Yeah, there was a moment in this game where he had like a midfield intercept. He came in and like spoiled the ball. I think it was on Ed Richards. Mm-hmm. Richards chased him down, caught him holding the ball, and it was like one of those like face in the mud, embarrassing moments for him.
Oh, right.
Richards gets up, takes the kick, moves it on, and then Taylor Byrne like sprints over, makes another intercept, wins the ball back again, and then Carlton kick a goal.
Yeah, nice.
And I was like, that's my little guy.
Yeah, that's nice. I actually listened to the end of it on the radio, so I didn't catch it visually. I was editing my god awful review for GWS and West Coast.
Gross.
Yeah, that was gross.
We will move on.
Yeah,
we have the Sydney Essendon game.
I just looked at it. I don't know how much we analysed this game. Like, it feels a bit weird to analyse Sydney. Look, they win at the MCG. They clinch top 2. We'll keep it general.
Wasn't a classic performance.
No, I didn't watch it.
Like 36-point win against the wooden spoon Bombers.
I was following the score flow, and I think it threatened to be worse, and then Essendon won the second or third quarter. They kicked 4 goals to 2 or something. I did see that. It feels wrong to like really analyse Sydney at the moment. It feels a bit gross. Like that game is stanky. It's just through association.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Pullman Hotel at this moment.
Yeah, it does. So we'll wait and see on Sydney. Essendon, though. Maybe we can centre it around that. Sorry, Sydney fans, but surely you've got things that you care more about than the Sydney-Essendon game itself.
Yeah. It doesn't change much for their season, does it?
No, it doesn't. No, it's just a run-of-the-mill performance. But Essendon, 1 game to go. Any chance they get off the bottom against Port Adelaide next week?
No.
You took so long that I'd started reading the chat. I sort of forgot I'd asked the question.
No, I don't think so.
I just heard this exhaling.
I think
you think there's no chance they beat Port Adelaide?
No chance. They just lose though, don't they?
Do they?
They'll just probably lose.
I'm actually not convinced.
Is it in Adelaide?
No, it's a marvel.
Port
Adelaide are they're struggling.
Yeah, they want the season to end.
Yeah, and so do with Essendon, but like Essendon have something to play for.
Yeah.
And the playing group will want to avoid the wooden spoon. Dean Solomon will want to avoid the wooden spoon.
I do think that, like in other years, you'd sort of want to lose this game and just wrap up the number 1 pick. But I think you almost, like this year, you kind of don't want the burden. Like, you don't necessarily want to be that team that bids on players at the top end. You kind of give that problem to Richmond then. And I don't think that the number 1 pick is there's such a small gap this year. Like, yes, you get the choice and you want to have the choice, but you almost get like there's a conveyor belt of other players that you could take outside the number 1 pick, and you'd feel like you got just as good a player.
Yeah.
So it's almost like for Essendon, it's like if Richmond get the number 1 pick, then they have to make that decision between Archie and Gus or whatever, and then we don't have to do it.
Yes, but even then, there's still a disconnect between what list managers would rather deal with and what Dean Solomon is going to think of.
Which his thing is just we want to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to cap off this little period as anything but a disaster, and equally the playing group don't give a shit about pick 1. So I think they're going to come to play, and I think if they can beat GWS, they can beat a Port Adelaide who is limping. Yeah. And Aliir, did he get concussed?
Oh, it looked like it.
Yeah,
I don't.
It looked like it, didn't it?
Yeah,
so big out.
Yeah, you'd think so. Well, you won't think that they'll rest him. Sorry, you won't think that they'll risk him.
No, well, they're not allowed to if he's
concussed. But even if he's not, you just not play him anyway.
Yeah.
Big Sally Roby says, surely now certified that Bombers take Archie considering the form of Vigo.
Yeah, Vigo Vicentini did play well.
It's not a simple consideration, I think, though, of Archie versus Van Hattem. It's a consideration of Archie versus Augusta Shearer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably more seeing it as an Arch. I don't think they'll take Van Hattem and haven't for a while now.
Okay.
I think it's one of Archie or Gus.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Jesse, should we move on to having a look at the final round of the season?
Yeah, we can do. Yep. Should we go through the
games?
Yeah. Do you have them in front of you, or would you like me to summon them?
I do have them in front of me.
Oh, finally.
So, are you ready to do that? Do you want to do it on the ladder predictor? On the True Footy website? No. Okay, we'll just talk about it. Fine. Fine.
No, it kind of makes more sense. I don't think it as a visual tool that helped that much. Maybe it would. I don't know.
No, whatever. St Kilda and the Gold Coast Suns on Thursday night. Who wins, Jesse?
Oh, dead rubber, but St Kilda should win, right?
Saints absolutely means nothing. Collingwood versus the Brisbane Lions on Friday night.
Now, this one is a little trickier. You can't rule Collingwood out entirely. You obviously think, I think it's clearly Brisbane start favourites this time of year, and they have something to play for. You referenced before how it's an important game. They generally don't lose, and they could lose top 4 if they lose the game.
So the devil's advocate here is, again, long season. Do Collingwood rest Nick Dacos because they can't move? This game is nothing for Collingwood.
Technically, they can leapfrog Adelaide. But then they would just play Carlton instead of the Bulldogs.
Yeah, they still get a home final.
Yeah. I don't know if Nick's a rester. Is he playing sore? I don't think he's playing sore.
Maybe not. I don't know. It's just an opportunity to gear up for the wild card game. They're going to have to play all through the finals.
I don't think there's a chance that happens in my opinion. Yeah.
Because of Brownlows? There are Brownlows
No. I feel like I know Collingwood just rested a couple of players from the Perth trip, but I think they'll see this as a tune-up, and I don't think this is a dead rubber in their eyes, if I had to guess.
Okay. Just checking. So you tipping Collingwood?
No. No, but you can't discount them entirely. I'll tip Brisbane because I think if we'll expect the good Brisbane, which has been present more often than not lately, you tip the Lions to win and potentially win easily. But the Collingwood gave us a lot to think about. They're playing good footy. They were really impressive against Hawthorn. But let's say the Lions.
Yeah.
But if they lose, though, if we're talking permutations, they would finish 5th.
The Brisbane would.
Yeah.
It's big it's huge for them.
Yeah.
They have to win.
Yeah.
And at the MCG, that's tricky. Carlton and Fremantle at Marvel Stadium. Now, I know you have a big call to make on this one.
Have we actually discussed it, or are you just trying to set me up
Have I robbed your leg there again?
Yes, and you're doubling down and tripling down. My goodness. I think Carlton could get him.
Go on.
Look, I know there's so much to say about Fremantle's resilience and how they haven't had, backed down even when they hadn't had too much to gain. I suppose technically last week against Adelaide, they could have still lost top spot. And it just doesn't feel like they're going to have an off day. Their performance against Melbourne, I don't think it was an off day. Maybe they weren't at their absolute best, but this is an actual dead rubber now. And at Marvel, against a prickly team that they don't play well against typically, I think there's an upset here.
DeFrio rest players.
There is some validity to that. You just sort of made the point, though, with wildcard, then you'd be having 2 weeks off before your first game and then another couple of weeks.
I wonder just the guys that are have played sore a bit and had injuries this year, like a
Alex
Sarong.
Pearce might miss.
Pearce has to miss, surely.
Yeah.
I don't think he would be an issue, missing more football. He's kind of just one of those.
Sure.
He's plug and play. Sarong, maybe.
Yeah, is he playing sore though? Because he's playing bloody well.
He's playing bloody well, but he's had injuries this year. I mean, didn't he have a calf?
I think you're right.
For a while earlier,
actually.
Hayden Young would be another one that plays. He plays low time on ground a lot.
That's true.
But then maybe they want him to just keep doing that.
And for Carlton, a win would avoid an Adelaide trip in their first week.
I think that's quite big.
That is big because I don't think they beat Adelaide.
And it's big for us because I want them to play Collingwood.
Yeah, true.
For content.
I think everyone wants that, to be honest.
Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. Now, this one doesn't feel like it means much, but it sort of does.
Melbourne still could play top 4. So at this point, though, yes, top 4 is still on because Hawthorn played the last game of the year. which means that if Melbourne win this game,
Yep.
they will temporarily at least slide into the top 4.
And if Brisbane lose to Collingwood, then Melbourne will be playing for a top 4 spot.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
And they'll clinch it, actually.
Yeah, I can't see Western Bulldogs winning this.
Yeah. Just because it's the MCG, I mean, like proven, like you can't discount them entirely off for the weekend. Losing Bont and English, and I don't think English will be back though for this game.
They've got a bit about them, don't they? Like as much as they're kind of not good enough to do anything, they still do. They show up.
They beat the D's at Marvel. They'll have no Van Rooyen. I still think of the G. The D's will win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Cats and Tigers is sort of just a nothing burger, isn't it?
Yeah. What about Adelaide and the Giants? Obviously the Giants are out, but Adelaide, they could avoid the wild card, but probably not, because that will be the same time as Geelong and Richmond. So there's a chance they never actually do that. So their hope is Melbourne and Geelong losing will get them out of the wild card.
See, if
That's
Melbourne
it.
lost to the Dogs though, and they win this game, the Crows,
Yeah,
Melbourne dropped to 7th,
Yeah, that's right.
which is
There's some chance of that. Obviously.
yeah, that would be a bad result for Melbourne. I think that
Yeah.
ruins their final series. Like any chance of them doing anything like making a run to a prelim.
And Carlton at the G in a wild card is a little bit hairy for them. It's not ideal.
Nah, it's not great at all. They'll get memories of 2023.
Yeah.
So I think Adelaide. I do think that Giants game has a bit of banana skin written on it though for the Crows.
Agreed, but it doesn't hurt them if they lose, does it? Oh, it does change their potential opponent.
Well, it matters if they lose. If Melbourne lose.
Oh yeah, true. Yep.
They've got to win.
They're 9% ahead of Collingwood. So if they lose and Collingwood win, which is also probably unlikely, they'd have 9%. So they're probably not going to finish lower than Collingwood.
Yep. Essendon and Port Adelaide is that wooden spoon game. You reckon Essendon?
I reckon there's a sniff. I'm not 100% convinced, but I reckon that's game on.
You reckon
I reckon it'll be close.
doesn't smell normal to you?
Yeah, that's right.
Sydney and North Melbourne. All of a sudden they are gettable.
They are. Let's see what happens, I guess. But this is also a dead rubber with the context of the season.
Yeah.
It'd be nice for you to cap off with a win at the SCG, regardless of the context.
They can't move, can they?
No.
They're second.
They're established in second.
They're locked in. Yep. And then the last game, obviously West Coast, nothing really in it for them. But if they did beat Hawthorn at home, not an ideal time for Hawthorn to have to travel over west. I don't think it's they're going to win, but it's not a great game for them.
No. I'm just thinking it's likely they'll be sitting in 5th at the start of the game. So they're probably going to come out snarling.
Yeah. Fuck. I'd be a bit nervous if I was them.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Just how things have gone. Bernie Suki says North wins. Joel Haber says Melbourne still might be okay at 7th. Looking who they would play.
They play Carlton most likely, depending.
Yeah.
Well, is there a world they play the Bulldogs again? There is.
Oh, it'd just be disappointing for them, I think.
If they lost to the Bulldogs and say Carlton beat Freo, they'd have to play the Bulldogs again at the same venue the next week.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Not ideal. Pole positional 111 says, with the Humphrey news, would Melbourne do a trade with West Coast to get to share a win-win for both clubs? Why would that happen?
Well, who? Sorry?
With the Humphrey news, would Melbourne do a trade with West Coast to get to Sharer?
So they'd lose the top. West Coast would also lose pick 21-ish as the end of round compo pick.
But why would Melbourne want to trade up to get to Sharer with Bailey Smith? With a Bailey Humphrey staying?
Oh, because Humphrey can't move to Melbourne, so their pick 5 is still in play. Mm. So they could use that to trade up with West Coast.
Oh, to get to pick 3?
Yeah.
To get to Sharer?
Yeah.
Okay. Why would they specifically want to Sharer? It's just a hypothetical.
Yeah, that's
from pole position.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think they would be compelled to want to do that specifically. Yeah. I don't think so.
It seems like a low value move up, and you'd have to give West Coast both 5 and 13.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a paltry deal for Melbourne.
Yeah. Don't like it. Dylan, who does D's take with 5 and 13? As a Melbourne fan, I think Drever and Neocleus or Harris. Well, it really just depends how the cookie crumbles with that top 5, doesn't it? Because you're somewhat, if you stay in 5, you're going to be dictated to by what happens ahead of you. I think it's a really nice position to be in.
Mock draft comes out Wednesday too.
Comes out Wednesday. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we should have some good options though.
I reckon the draft, just to tie a little ribbon on it, the draft for me gets to about pick 15 and then there's like a bit of a drop off.
Yeah, okay.
So like you're in, both your picks are inside that. So I don't think Melbourne need to be that aggressive unless there's, maybe it's Jason Taylor at the D's, isn't it? That does the work there. Like maybe there's someone he really likes that he wants to get up to, but I think you just take what you're given.
Yeah. Shadow Light makes a good point. Not a dead rubber for the Roos because if they lose and Gold Coast win, North finish in the bottom 5 and get those draft benefits.
Oh.
And if North win, they effectively double their total wins from last year.
Yeah, got you.
That would be huge to finish on 10 wins. But there is also the most likely outcome, North lose and Gold Coast lose. So neither of those things happen.
Yeah, true. True.
But the top end of first round pick, that'd be handy.
Yes. Wilbur says, if Tigers get Butters, does Port get 2 top 5 picks? And how does that work with the Cochrane bid?
Well, by top 5 picks, you're talking about pick 2 and then Richmond's future first, which would be pick 2, pick 4, pick 6 next year. So would Richmond give 2 first, for Butters? That's a steep price.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the part of like it affecting the Cochrane bid only really it only affects the fact that like if Port were to do a deal with one of Essendon or Richmond, you would just think that there would be some sort of a like side deal that team doesn't bid on.
Yeah.
Cochrane, right?
Yeah.
Or in that situation with Port getting like the top pick, they would control the draft. That's kind of the benefit they would have there. So then that would push the Cochrane bid down further because they would pick the player. So the benefit for Port to getting to the top of the draft is that the gap in those points between, say, 1 and 3 for Cochrane getting bid on, say, 3 instead of 1 is actually huge now.
Yeah.
Because of the gap in points, which has changed.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I've touched your leg again. Just keep stretching my legs out.
You have done that a lot tonight.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
The official UFL says, can I say something that might be controversial?
Here we go.
Any player that's found guilty of stuff like this needs to be blackballed from football. What is blackballed?
It's not a thing, I'm sure.
These workshops don't work if they're not truly voluntary. Is that in relation to
I don't think that's controversial. I think he's talking about the city thing. If
Yeah.
somebody's found guilty of sexual assault, that's not controversial to say they shouldn't be in the AFL.
No. People will make you think that that's controversial, but it's really not.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
Again, yeah, it'll be interesting to find out more information. But yeah, I agree with you. But I do kind of laugh at the blackballed comment.
Producer.
There've been some named by Caroline Wilson.
Oh, Caro. Caro's
Wilson
named
has
some names.
Drop some names.
I like it. Who have we got?
Isaac Heaney.
So, Heaney's been to the cop shop.
Yep.
Vice, James Jordan, Chad Warner, and some other ones. All of them were nobody's arrested or anything. Everyone just questioned.
So that's extremely interesting, though, because that actually checks out with the exact names that were coming up on.
Which the audience wouldn't have heard just now.
Yes. So sorry.
Riley Bice, James Jordan, Isaac Heaney,
Chad Warner.
That's true. That those now that if Caroline Wilson's saying it, well, I'll say them. But that is also consistent with what I've been hearing.
Also saying they're driving back to Sydney in a rental car.
Driving back to Sydney in a rental car.
And they unlikely to play this week.
Unlikely to play this week.
Of police investigation because of drinking, last night drinking.
Okay, so they're unlikely to be playing this week regardless of police investigation because they were drinking last night. I thought you were allowed to drink on the night of the game.
Oh, it depends on club rules, really.
It does depend on club rules, yeah.
Yeah.
Consider potential sanctions for late night drinking.
Yeah, it feels like what you when I first brought this up, we started talking about it this afternoon, Jesse. The first thing you said to me is like, it just feels like such a wild, sort of like huge party thing to do after a round 23 game against the Bombers. Like it's not like they've really there's not really that much to party for.
Yeah. Before you even get to the fucking thing that happened, like the instance of them in Melbourne and having a huge night with finals around the corner.
Yeah,
questionable.
Very strange.
I've been saying they're not a serious team.
They're not a serious club.
Man, do you think Brisbane are doing this? You think Freo are doing this?
Do you think Darcy Wilmot's having after game beers when he's down in Melbourne?
I just smirked. It's just a random player.
Yeah, I know.
Darcy Wilmot. Yeah, I guarantee you Freo's not doing this shit.
Nah, no way.
Yeah.
They're better than that.
Yeah, even... Don't know about the Cats. Who knows?
Yeah.
Probably not, though. I think it's wild after an Essendon game. It doesn't matter who it is. It's still weird.
It's weird.
I know that footballers have lives, but like my personality, I just think it's odd that you'd be doing that with finals right around the corner.
So close to the finals. It's not like a mid-season break or something like that.
Yeah.
Just having what appears at least to be like they've had some sort of a wild celebration or party after it. I
think it's also worth saying some of these players that were named could just be key witnesses, right?
100%.
I think it's worth saying that now that they've been named, like someone's done something.
Something's happened.
But I wouldn't necessarily assume that all of those players are equally guilty.
Yeah.
Right.
The police weren't there because they had beers in their room.
Yeah, and they also haven't been arrested, which I think it's odd that nobody's been arrested though.
I think no one's been arrested. That doesn't mean.
I just think it's odd. I'm not saying you're not saying there's nothing there. Yeah. I'm just saying it's a bit odd.
It's probably a bit outside our pay grade,
100%,
Jesse.
Yeah, but I just think if it's gone this far, it's
what's that classic saying that there's got to be smoke where there's fire?
Yeah.
It's got to be fire where there's smoke. Smoke where there's fire.
No, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, and you'd think though. I was going to say but the fact that there's a hotel room means there's some level of CCTV, but they wouldn't be in the rooms. So I don't know how far that actually gets you.
Incredible. Will with the Pair says this is going to blow up. Yeah, it's a big story. It's a massive story. Will with the Pair also says celebrating like that is what's more cringe, celebrating like that after an Essendon win or celebrating a draw?
I think we know the answer. It's definitely Essendon win. It's not even just the scale of the game. I think these.
Yeah,
it's the time of the year.
It's a weird one. Jesse, we better go. We've been on here for over 2 hours.
Yeah, we got some big videos coming out this week. Make sure you check out truefooty.com.au. Become a member. We have paid plans for those who want to get exclusive trade and draft content. We've got simulators. We've got draft rankings. We've got draftee comparison tool. You can vote on the Brownlow. Just check it out. Join the community. We got 3,500 people on it, which is great. And we're also going to have a bunch of videos this week, Dylan.
We are. I just want to say too, with the draft stuff, we've got we're adding to the pool of players.
Yeah.
So the pool of players is growing. I think last time I checked, what's going to be going in there, we've got 130 odd names now.
Yeah.
It's a big number. So we're going to get try to get as many of those built out into profiles.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can then use the comparison tool to rank players against each other. So that's going to be cool too.
Including ranking previous draftees, which we haven't built yet, but that will be sometime this week.
Yep. Where a lot of sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being with us once again, guys. And we'll be back on Friday night this week for the game between the Brisbane Lions and the Pies. So join us with Benny, the BenQ TK705 STI projector. We'll see you then. Have a good night.